In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Perfect. What's the deal, Panther fans? It's the C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. My name's Tony Dunn. It's Tuesday night. It's 9 p.m. where we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We got a fun show tonight. The NFL draft is in our rear view, and we've got a roundtable recap of some of the top YouTubers in Panther Nation. So go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the show. We're on all the podcast networks. And call in 252-228-5098. I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Cody Lashney. How you doing?
Tony Dunn, I'm wonderful, man. We just had a tremendous Panthers draft. We've got a bunch of fantastic Panther personalities here to talk with us about it. And I'm pumped, man. And listen, you know what we always do. We're joined by the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. 89 J Stubbs, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Nick Montiero, 10 Tizzy, Tar Heel Eel, Tony Dunn, all the usual suspects are in the building. You already know what it is. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Like normal, where live streams, nothing can go right in the live stream is I tried to restart my computer right before this sucker went down because it was bogging down and acting crippled. And it took 20 minutes to restart, and now it looks beautiful over here while I'm on my laptop. So hopefully we can navigate through this despite those technical difficulties. CK in the house. What's up, man?
Just riding Dogecoin to the moon, my dude.
Oh, yeah. What's it at right now? 61.
It's at 57 cents. I bought in at 2 cents.
Wow. Yeah, well, man, before you know it, maybe you'll buy the Carolina Panthers for us. All right, we're gonna be talking about the NFL draft tonight. We've got some heavy hitters from YouTube, and we got some more. I'm pretty sure that are going to be trickling in as we go. Let's start with the elder statesman, Pat Coltrane.
What up, everybody? I see everybody giving your boy a shout out. I appreciate it. Tony, Cody, thank you for having your boy on. Oh, I forgot. What's up with your baby Bubba? All right.
Welcome back, man. We're glad to have you. We're going to be talking about the draft, and we'll get your commentary. And be sure to check out Pat Coltrane. How can they find your work before we get into the show?
You can hit me up on YouTube, Pat Coltrane, Facebook, facebook.com/Pat Coltrane, and Twitter @Pat Coltrane.
All right, man. We got David from Panther Nation Podcast, man. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's going on, Tony? What's going on, guys? I'm happy to be here, man. It's gonna be fun.
So you guys were working hard over this draft, bro.
Man, listen, I'll tell you a quick story about that. After we got the third round pick, I'm thinking to myself, good, we ain't gotta go on till the fifth round. We got 3 6th round picks. We'll do this real quick, get out of here. Fitterer was like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and put a 4th round pick popping up in this piece.
He said, nah, bro.
We got putting in those YouTube hours, man. Tell them where they can find the Panther Nation Podcast.
We're on YouTube at Panther Nation Podcast. We're on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. Individually, I'm on Twitter at Champ D1012. We're on Facebook, Panther Nation PC, Panther Nation Podcast.
Wonderful. All right, we've got Aaron Duncan too from Aaron Duncan. Go ahead. Oh, holy cow! I took him out. Now I put him back in. I'm trying to highlight your name, Aaron. Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What up, though? What's going on, man?
We've met before on some of the roundtables, had some good talks and discussions. I've seen that you've been optimistic about some of this draft class. Where can they find your commentary on YouTube and wherever else you put it out?
You can find me everywhere at Dunk on Demand, except on YouTube. YouTube, I'm unnecessary bluntness. It's a mouthful. It's a handful. It's like unnecessary roughness. But
it's an awesome name.
Bluntness. I appreciate it. I put a lot of thought into it. I might have overthought it a little bit, but I appreciate that. But you can find me on everything at Dunk on Demand, DUNC on Demand. So, yeah, man. Appreciate y'all having me on. Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the discussion about this NFL draft. Is that it felt like we talked about it for years and years and years coming up. Each year that goes by, I become more and more fatigued by the draft buildup. by the mock drafts, by all the speculation, this and that. So I've been almost putting it out of my mind, letting you guys do the heavy work, the heavy lifting, and then I'll just check in and see what you guys are saying, form some opinions at the last second. And all of a sudden I open my eyes up and we're drafting. And I thought this draft, man, it's going to be wild. There's going to be so many quarterbacks taken. And then all of a sudden it became like the most vanilla draft after we took J.C. Horn. Your guys' initial reactions to this, our first pick and just overall draft. Go ahead and jump in there.
So I'll just kind of start this thing and say, and I'm interested to hear if everybody agrees. I think Matt Rhule just bet his entire coaching tenure on Sam Darnold. And who knows whether or not that will pay off. But when Justin Fields is there at pick 8 and you decide to go corner, that's a bold move right there.
What is it?
And,
Matt Rhule? Was that Matt Rhule?
Well, and that's a good question. I kind of think it was. Because we know that, when he interviewed with the Jets, they had met on FaceTime for like 5 minutes or something. I don't know. I really do think that the coaching staff believes they can turn around Sam Darnold. And if that was the idea and if that's what we're set on, I'm loving this draft. I think we filled so many different needs. We did a fantastic job. Scott Fitterer did a bunch of trade backs, which is something that we're not used to. But man, if Sam Darnold isn't it, we might be living with passing on Justin Fields forever. So we'll see how it works out.
Well, you're only going to live with passing with Justin Fields forever if you're assuming that Justin Fields is going to succeed in Chicago. And Chicago has a history of not exactly succeeding with quarterback that they receive. So I think we need to pump the brakes. I think Justin Fields is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, but I don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL with the Chicago Bears because they have to show me they can actually get a quarterback right. Now, that being said, I love the draft. I called that we were going to take a corner. I picked the wrong corner, but I figured that Sewell wasn't going to be there. I never thought a quarterback was an option. Them delaying giving Darnold a fifth-year option was all about smoke screen to try to convince somebody to trade up to 8. It didn't work. We got our guy. We're rolling with JC. I think they got a lot of value across the board. The only questionable pick they had to me was probably the long snapper, but even then I understood why. But overall, they did great. I'm feeling the draft. I think they want to play more press coverage. This draft has shown me a lot about what they're trying to do. I think Matt Rhule is fine with rolling with Darnold. I'm curious to see if Tepper's going to allow him to get more than 1 year. I think that's going to be dependent on how they do this year.
That long snapper pick was to fuck with Marty Herney. That's why that's what that pick was for. But before we go on, I'll give you a quick theory about that. I think for me it was about I think they wanted Cosme and Washington took him before. And I think this was more of a payback type of thing. I think they might have got rumors they wanted the long snapper.
Man, that ain't no payback. They took Cosme and we take a long snapper. We got him. We
got him. All right. Before we move on, let's go ahead and welcome the 4-man rush into the podcast. We got Kevin, Avery, and Mr. Smooth. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
We got Kevin. We still ain't got no volume on
Yo, Smooth. They can't hear you.
I can barely.
Very low, barely, bro.
Very low.
All right, Kevin, man, welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast. I don't know if you've been here
y'all don't need me no more. 4-man rush in here. I ain't got nothing to say. Y'all got 4-man rush in here. That's it.
Tell us where they can find your work, Kevin.
Well, y'all probably got the most biased part of 4-man rush with y'all tonight. So
yeah, we're good. Man, we got the audio now.
We love the
expecting you gonna get from us is not gonna be pretty. I'm just letting y'all know now.
Yeah, the hollow points are loaded, so it's gonna be some bloodshed on some of these picks here. But as far as we can find the 4-man rush, main thing you can find us on our website, the 4 manrush.com. That'll link you up to all of our other social media platforms. That's where you can also read all of our blog entries, catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Check out all our video work there. Yeah, man, this did not go as quite as I expected, but I guess we'll tackle that tonight.
Are you guys glad the draft is over with all the coverage you guys have
Heck
done,
yeah.
all the prospects, all the tape you watch? Are you glad the draft's over?
You know, I feel like, when you're courting a woman that you really, really want, you work so hard to get that woman, and she's just not what you wanted her to be. That's how
Yo, that's a beautiful way to put it, man.
All right, let's go to Aaron real quick.
I heard courting a woman.
How old are you, man? He said courting.
He's trying to marry her.
This man's a classic gentleman. That's all.
Yeah, tell you something, man. If you ain't courting, you wasting, brother. You ain't courting, you wasting.
All right, so look, I got a question for all of you. Did you all expect us to go JC Horn with our first pick? Because I was down. It was either going to be Surtain, Fields, or Horn. I would have said before the draft that if we were going to take a corner, it would have been Patrick Surtain. But I love the fact that we took JC Horn, man. And I know that's a little bit weird, man. I'm a Clemson fan. I know Aaron's on here. He's ready to talk a gang of shit later on. I know. and we drafted Shi Smith too. And yes, I know he's gonna ball, so I can't even say shit, man. I know. But look, man, I really do. I love JC Horn. I mean, I think that was a fantastic pick for us. What did you all think? Did you think that was going to be the pick for us at 8?
I didn't think so. And I have no problem with the player. I guess my issue is the pick, because I wanted Fields. But I have no issue with the player. JC Horn is everything you want. He's got the length, the athleticism, the NFL pedigree. He has the best resume of anybody coming out. He's been tested again, and he even took the retest, you know what I'm saying? And he really has all we need, especially like you said, with this pass rush that we have. Like Dave was saying, we're going to be playing a lot more press man. Why do you play press man? Because you have a quick pass rush that can get there. You want to disrupt the timing. You want to be able to be there to make take advantage of quarterback having to force opportunities, and those things can work together. A good pass rush is a great complementary for press coverage and good corners, and vice versa. So I'm not mad at what we did with. Obviously, I'm not mad at the player. Obviously, like I say, just the Fields thing. It bothered me too, man. So that's pretty much where I was at.
It took Rashad 3 days to get over the fact that they took on over Fields, bro.
It took 3 days. It took me a day.
It didn't look, man. Every day during our draft coverage, the first thing I say was, "Listen, man, are you over the fact that we took Horn over Fields?" Because I don't think you could believe it. And I said, "Dude, it was the no-brainer." Like I predicted corner. I said Surtain at the show. The first time I missed, but I got the position right. I knew it was going to be one of the corners because I didn't think Sewell was going to be there. I think the only lineman.
How many of you all in here and in the chat room wanted Fields over any other player?
I wouldn't say over any other player, but I would have preferred him over JC.
What I'll say,
where we were at, yeah.
Okay, hold up.
The way that board fell, nobody expected that, and that's how I feel. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. When it comes to this front office and when it comes to who Scott Fitterer is, I didn't know what to expect going in. I knew what I wanted. You know what I mean? If I'm being honest, I knew what I wanted. And I was kind of hoping that they would, go the QB route or go the offensive lineman route. And it was a heartbreaker for me. I'm be honest. Whenever Penei Sewell went right before us, it broke me. And so even after that, I was like, okay, well, Justin Fields is right there. He kind of landed right there in our laps, and we kind of passed on him for a cornerback, man. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I agree. JC Horn is a baller. I think he's going to be a dog, man. And I am excited to have him on the team. But I was initially upset whenever we passed on Justin Fields, Rashawn Slater, for cornerback.
I think for me,
JC Horn though, like whenever you mentioned JC Horn, you were like, kind of like
it ain't nothing against him, but you got to realize I ain't get what I want. Like what I look like this, I ain't get what I want. So I mean, I'm happy about it. This how I'm be honest. I'm like this whenever, even when we got Derek Brown last year, I really wanted Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, I was happy about, and I'm still happy about Derek Brown. But it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm being a baby about it or whatever. But that's just me being honest and transparent. I'm pretty sure JC Horn is gonna ball out and he's gonna grow on me, and I'm excited about it. even when I watch, you seen a little workout video he did today. I was oh man, this dude a baller, man.
Mhm.
But then I think about how this whole draft went. I'm just like, man, this is it's hard to be super excited.
Pat, do you think it's partly because you had talked yourself into believing that Justin Fields, there would be no option of getting a quarterback really at 8?
Yeah.
The reason I feel like this is I was so excited.
Everybody was telling me ain't gonna be no quarterbacks, ain't gonna be no offensive linemen.
But Pat,
you gotta trade up. You gotta trade up.
Right.
If you would have listened to me,
everybody listen to you, David. Man,
I know that's the problem, and that was the issue. That was the issue right there because I was the one saying Fields was gonna be there at 8, and we're still not gonna take him, and everybody thought I was crazy. I knew we weren't gonna take him. I think it was all about trying to get the draft capital to trade back, and it didn't work out. They tried.
Where did you have him?
They didn't try.
Where'd you have Fields getting picked?
I thought worst case scenario, he falls to New England or somebody trades up with us. But it ended up being 11.
Denver passed on him.
Yeah, I can't.
I did. I said Denver would possibly pass on him, and at that point,
why, they gonna get Aaron Rodgers? How y'all know all this stuff? Like that's what I would know. How y'all know all this stuff?
They just be saying stuff. They don't know.
No. My thing was this: Denver's been talking about taking a corner the entire time, right? Denver's been talking about taking a corner, and then the moment that they traded for Bridgewater, the moment they traded for Bridgewater, franchise settled, baby. Franchise done.
We're not allowed to talk about Bridgewater on this show.
I'm just trying to help you out. That confirmed that they were going to take the corner. So it was a matter of which one. If we take Surtain, they were going to take Horn. If we take Horn, they take Surtain.
So
and after that,
everybody knew my pick was Sewell. If you follow 4-Man Rush and you follow Smooth and/or Kevin, we were all about hog mollies. You understand what I'm saying? But I also live in Georgia, and I follow high school football. That's how to the core I am with it. I've been feeling like for the last 3 years that Justin Fields was better than Trevor Lawrence because I watched them play. So I was telling everybody, look, if we don't go lineman and we got to go quarterback, Justin Fields is the only quarterback I wanted to take. I feel like he was the best quarterback in the country, even when he was in Georgia behind Jake Fromm. So I thought you were going to pick him when Sewell was going, but the whole draft was trash to me. Outside of the J.C. Horn pick.
Look, if Smooth said,
I'm being real with you. Outside of J.C. Horn, I also like Terrace Marshall. I like that pick for where you got it at. But the rest of the draft was trash to me as far as the way we went about it. Not so much the players, just the philosophy we follow. I had an issue with it.
What was your issue? What was the issue?
Oh, man.
Because you were trading back repeatedly to take lesser value players. Like you had a Jackson Carmer on the board.
They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. Smooth.
To go get Brady Christensen. Then you had a Wyatt Davis on the board. You traded back to go get Tommy Tremble, which a lot of people thought was a white boy. I ain't gonna lie. Nobody knew who the fuck he was. But excuse my language.
So you sound like Pat. They passed on your favorites. They passed on who you wanted. Pat was mad about that.
That ain't what I sound like. Look, I'm glad Smooth said it because people get on me whenever I start talking like that. I'm glad he said it. But I ain't upset about it. I ain't gonna say the draft was trash. That ain't what I'm saying. I didn't get what I want, but I'm not totally against this draft. I'm not totally against the players we picked up. I just felt like we could have did a better job at picking up valuable players. We're gonna see though. That's all we can do.
We had an issue in the offensive line for the last several years. You had a draft where you had an opportunity to address that, but you started taking long snappers. I don't get it. Like it don't make sense to me. It's not like the players that we needed weren't in reach. They were right there on the board for us, and we trade back to go get a long snap. I'm good.
But can't I make the argument that we filled more holes this way than we would have otherwise? Like, I mean, look at Deonte Brown in the 6th round. Like, look. If it wasn't for weight concerns and they were afraid my man was pushing 400 pounds, like that guy is a 2nd round pick, bro. Deonte Brown didn't let a single sack at Alabama. And when you look at, again, Tommy Tremble at Notre Dame, they didn't ask him to play receiver a lot at the tight end position. So you're kind of projecting with a lot of these picks, but you do see the value and I think what they're trying to build. So, I see the depth, and I'm not going to lie, man. I like the depth, especially if Sam Darnold can turn it around, man, I think we filled so many holes with some talent.
You get blocking tight ends on day 3. I'm sorry, but you can continue.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing. Like, I think this draft shows the image that Matt Rhule wants. Like, we've been talking about what image Matt Rhule had from that standpoint as a coach and what type of team he's trying to build. And I think this draft kind of showed that. This draft shows that he wants to play some tough, physical defense next year. And he wants to run the ball way more than he has been. And the picks kind of showed that. Now, I do agree that
we picked 2 receivers.
We picked 2 receivers. No, but we also picked a tight end that can play. That's pretty much a halfback that can play fullback, can play tight end. We did get 2 linemen. And we grabbed one from undrafted free agency, which a guy that should have been drafted, but that's a whole different discussion for another day. I put my theory on the board of why that didn't happen.
David Moore should have been drafted, and we know why.
And we know exactly why.
Yes, speak on it.
You mean you talking about David Moore
from Grambling?
Okay,
yeah. Not a single player from an HBCU was drafted this year. So
all I'm going to say is this.
HBCUs.
And I said it on my show, and I'll say it here. There's a lot of Clemson fans in these streets. There's a lot of South Carolina Gamecock fans in these streets, but there's only one school that has more Hall of Famers in that state, and that's South Carolina State. They have more NFL Hall of Famers than both of those schools. And they ain't out here drafting in these streets.
Because they want to put Sterling Sharp in the Hall of Fame.
Let me tell you something. These HBCU schools got some really good talent. There's a couple folks that should have been drafted. Brian Mills from North Carolina Central should have been drafted. Period. David Moore from Grambling should have been drafted. Period. But it kind of worked out for us because we got David Moore, so I'm happy. And I think Trent Scott being on the roster helped too because he went to Grambling as well.
Right. And if I could just interject real quickly, as far as the whole thing, with Cody speaking on, we got a lot of holes filled. Let me ask you guys this. If you needed $2, would you rather have 20 downs or 8 quarters? Because my reason for saying it is we chose quantity over quality. You talking about running the game? You don't think Chris McCaffrey went like running behind Carmen Jackson and Wyatt Davis, along with the Moulton, along with the David Moore, along with the Paradis coming back? You don't think that would have helped? You talking about run the ball. That's what you need to run the ball. When you look at the other teams, like I don't know if you guys look at the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line now. Look at Baltimore.
Look at the Detroit Lions, man.
I was getting that. Look at the Baltimore Ravens offensive line right now. These guys spent quality picks addressing their offensive line.
They committed to fixing the offensive line. We're not showing no type of commitment when it comes to fixing this offensive line, and people don't see that. We've been doing that year after year.
Never had one.
But you got to remember,
never ever had a commit. This is the same kind of story when it comes to offensive line.
But the problem.
Let me wrap up by saying this, fellas. This draft was all about the RAS. The relative athletic score. That's what it felt about, because we was even talking about it when we was having our watch party. Which player has the highest RAS score that's left? That's who we're gonna be taking. I'd be damned if it wasn't 2 of the players that had 2 of the highest RAS scores.
Yo,
now y'all talking about this Brady Christensen, like
they run to the
Tell me.
Will you let a 250-pound defensive end from University of Texas San Antonio own you? I mean, own you. Now I know they got that stat. Oh, he only gave up 1 set. Nah, that boy gave up more pressures than man.
He's only charted as giving up 3 pressures, and his entire BYU.
I'll give you the perspective. We the hog molly specialists. If you go ahead and watch the film, you can go to the Coastal Carolina game. He doesn't stand out on tape. He's very average. Definitely gave up a big pressure. I don't know if they recorded that, but he hasn't blocked anybody. Honestly, I feel like some of our 4-man rush brothers were the defensive ends out there trying to get to the quarterback for him. He don't block anybody. When you put him against real competition, he's just like his quarterback. If y'all look at Zach Wilson against real competition, guy's not solid, man. I don't see the value in that. For where you got him at, cool, 3rd round. Right. But you should have went and got a starter ahead of time. You had an opportunity to go get day 1 starters, and you chose to trade back and take the scrap.
For a project that you're hoping, and people saying, well, he could play guard too. What? Really? No.
Well, I mean, people were saying that about Slater, because we had that whole argument during the last roundtable that we did. But what For me, what it ultimately boils down to is that you got to remember who your GM is. Scott Fitterer came from Seattle, a franchise that never tried to protect Russell Wilson. So you got to take that into account too.
That's where he came to, Carolina, a franchise that has never tried to protect their quarterback either. Welcome home, Scott Fitterer.
Match made in heaven. That there's rumors going around that there were several people in that war room that were upset.
Tell it.
Yeah.
That were upset
They were
that we
heated.
didn't address that offensive line like we supposed
All
to.
right. This is an interesting point because I was fixated on Justin because I'm like a novice. I'm just a fan watching, right? You know, like I kind of watch them. If I watch, I ain't going to say I scouted this person. I watched their YouTube highlights. That's what I did. So, I mean, I'm watching this draft unfold. And I had thought that 2 months ago, I thought that a quarterback would have been impossible to get without trading up, right? And then all of a sudden, Justin Fields becomes the one that slips. So this is kind of what I was fixated on. But after we didn't pick Justin Fields, we picked J.C. Horn. I was sitting there thinking, and I think this is really dovetailing to y'all's conversation, is what if Fields won't there? We still didn't pick the offensive tackle first, right? Why is it that we how are we going to put this offensive line together? Does that mean that they believe they're going to recapture something with Cam Irvin? Because that's who I think slated to start left tackle right now.
That's who slated. I don't think he's going to win it, though. Just my personal opinion. I don't think he's going to win it.
You don't think Christensen's going to win it?
I don't think Christensen's going to win it either. I think Trent Scott's going to probably end up winning it.
He might not win it, but I bet you he would win it faster than Greg Little would.
I don't think Greg Little's going to make the team. I don't think Greg Little's going to make the team.
Yeah, him and Ian Thomas, their future on life support right now.
Let me tell you something now.
Man, how did Ian Thomas fall from grace? We're not going to really answer. That's a rhetorical question.
He had a grace.
He got thrown in the fire
that first season. Everybody thought, man, I was told he was going to be this greatest thing ever. All right, let me ask you guys this. Let's try to take.
It's like everybody looking at all these draft picks just because they knew. They feel like they're the next best thing, but you just never know.
I like what Four Man Rush is saying, or at least you guys are being like the contrarians to the draft nuts, because all I've heard is how great the execution of this draft was by the Carolina Panthers from the kind of draft, what I call the Twitter draft heads, right? But y'all are draft heads, so I can't even call I can't stereotype all of y'all, but they're like this is the idea is volume picks are good because they think that you're not going to hit picks a lot. So the idea of they continue to use this analogy of darts on a dartboard, like it's better to have more darts to try to hit a target rather than really trying to hit these numbers as hard as you can. So I would ask you guys this, and we'll kind of, whoever wants to start can start. Rate this draft on 3 qualities. All right. The quality is need is the first rating, 1 to 5, or however you want to say it. Upside, 1 to 5, and execution, 1 to 5. Right. So let's talk about that. Is because, all right, who wants to start? Because need, we've already talked about it. Offensive line. Some people don't believe we adequately addressed this early enough.
Need, I'll give it a 4.
You say 1 to 5?
I'll give it a 4. Because I think, I'll give it a 4. I think the one of the other big things that came out of this draft was the fact that we paid off the Sam Darnold trade, which was a good thing. But I'll give it a 4. I think they could have done better on the line side, but the thing is, I'm conflicted because I can't be mad at what they did because I know because I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of all the Hurney players. I see it.
Wow,
I see it. That's why I think Ian and Greg Little is out of there. I see it, and JJ too. He's out of there as well. I see it. I see it.
When you draft a long snapper, your days are numbered, bro. Your days are numbered.
Well, he was gonna make like $800,000 or something like that.
No, $980,000 is a non-guaranteed contract. Done.
By the way, is it like what is the league the vet minimum? I mean, I'm surprised it's that low.
Like
to be honest.
454 or 554
Yeah,
or something
they
like
gotta
that.
double that.
Yeah,
shit
no,
for
no,
these guys. And
they're
inflation.
paying
Have they
Jay-
not
they're-
heard the inflation has been going up?
If you're making $500,000, it's a long snap.
They're paying JJ Jansen a
I'm telling you,
premium to be a
man,
long
regardless of the value of the dollar.
Oh, he living
My thing
good.
is, how you gonna be mad? How you gonna have problems with a guy that's only had one bad snap since 2009? Like, what's the issue? Oh, you so good so long. We need to. What competition?
He's the longest tenured Panther, isn't he?
I mean, think about it. His last bad snap was the game at New York in 2010. That's his last bad snap. Like, you got a problem with consistency?
The same way they got rid of that Jerry Richardson statue out front, the same way they got rid of everything that resembles the prior regime. They got to get it up. They found any excuse. They found any excuse to get that Jerry Richardson. Oh, we don't want it to get vandalized, so we're gonna move it. Okay, whatever.
The protest was the best thing to happen to get that statue out of there, bro.
They just needed a reason, bro. They've been trying to do it. They just needed a reason, man. I give it a 4 though. I guess I said it before. I thought we could upgrade it. I mean, the draft is just gonna be for upgrades. I think they did something at every position to address it. It may not be the long-term answer. So I didn't think we had any like screaming needs, which put us in position. And I mean, they did what they said they were going to do. They said they were going to address every position that they thought we needed in free agency and then use the draft to take the best player available. They also said that they believe in playing the numbers game when it comes to draft. I think I read a stat about the Ravens being the best drafting team over the past 5 years. They asked the GM why. He said, because we had more picks than anybody. I mean, it's a crapshoot. You're going to miss on some. You're going to hit on some. But the best way you can do it is to get more picks. And that's the strategy they took. I'm just happy they stuck to what they said they were going to do. I mean, for once, we got some clarity. It looked like there was some kind of strategy, whether you right, wrong, or indifferent. They had a strategy. They executed the plan that they wanted to do, and they did it. That's all I can ask for. If it's wrong, they're going to get their ass fired because their philosophy is just wrong. They need to get up out of here. But they said what they were going to do. They did it. They didn't take Vernon Butler in the first round. They didn't trade up for Will Grier. They didn't do anything stupid. You know what I'm saying? So I'm cool with it.
A little bit false right there because ain't nobody on this panel or in Panther Nation going to tell me drafting a long snapper is okay.
I mean, that's one spot. That's not Vernon Butler in the first round, in my opinion.
It's still a stupid move.
The dude was preparing to be a undrafted free agent. Like
that was the absolute hilarious thing ever.
I mean, it made a cute viral video, so I think people are overshadowing that in the grand.
I mean, it was a comp pick. It was a comp pick in the second round.
And we had 11 picks. So I mean,
but I know how you feel. But the thing is,
it was a throwaway in their opinion. I guess.
Look, man, I know how y'all feel. But the thing is, we found out later that Trey Smith wasn't even on the board because they were worried about his squats.
Yeah. I think that was a lot of teams they took Trey Smith off the board. I'm surprised the Chiefs even picked him.
Rashad was just as pissed as you guys that we didn't take Trey Smith in that pick. Believe you me.
Yeah.
But then I said they probably didn't have him on the board. And I was like,
no, they had him on the board. It's just the medical is real sketchy with blood clots and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's tough.
You got to look. 32 teams was passing on probably the second best guard in the country. So it's got to be something there that we just don't know.
Right. It's a little bit more.
But still, I'm taking that chance over a long.
No, I get it. I get it. I think the long snapper pick, the moment that we took Tremble, I was like, oh. But then I looked in the highlights. I was like, oh, all right, I see what they're trying to do. And I'm like, Ian's out of here. And then when we took the long snapper, when we took Fletcher, I said, JJ's out of here. They're talking about competition. My ass. He ain't gonna get a chance to be the competition. He out of there. Simple as that. I think they're trying to get younger. I think it's about trying to get younger and getting people that they didn't bring in here out of here.
And as far as the whole thing with Trey Smith,
we're about to be more younger once we get rid of a 35-year-old long snapper.
Right. As far as the thing with Trey Smith, I didn't know if you guys knew the degree of it. His last 2 years at Tennessee, where he played, where he didn't miss a game, he couldn't really practice during the week because of the blood thinners that he was taking. And that was really what came out of why a lot of teams, because in NFL, you don't practice, you don't play.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the issue. So that's why he was able to play, because they had to really scale back his practicing during the week at Tennessee. And you go into the NFL, because you can't tell me, looking at his film, that's not first round talent. You can't tell me that. But again, you may have got away with that at the University of Tennessee. You're not going to get away with that in the NFL, not being able to practice, just show up on Sunday and expect to whoop ass. It's not going to work. So that was the reason behind his medical why so many teams bypassed him. But you know what? I bet he get a ring in Kansas City before any other lineman do.
Oh yeah, he will, because it's gonna be this
One
year.
thing about the
It's gonna be
one
an
thing about the
ultimate petty, and I'm
medicals-
gonna be cheering for him too. For real.
One thing about the medicals is that it's a difficult year because you're not really able to get your doctor's hands on them a lot, you know, so you're just getting the information that they are providing, which I guess leaves a little bit more open to interpretation, or you know, maybe it causes a little bit more concern with some of these teams and why because we're in an abnormal year. All right, when it comes to upside for these players, what do you guys, anybody want to comment on? Cody, you want to start us off with what you think? How would you rank the upside of this potential draft? Because after our initial kind of, once we got past the no Justin Fields, no offensive lineman in the first round, and we were talking about J.C. Horn's upside and potential, you know, a lot of us were circling back saying in 2 years you come back and say he's the best player at his position in this draft, easy, right? So when it comes to upside with what the Panthers drafted, how would you rate them?
Listen, on a scale of 1 to 5, I rated it a 5. Going forward, I'm just going to assume what the coaches assume. And what I kind of, you know, I'm hoping as well is that we're going to be able to turn around the quarterback and Sam Darnold, and he's going to be able to take the reins. When you go forward with that idea in mind, we came away with, in my opinion, a ton of potential starters on our football team. Terrace Marshall Jr. was incredible for LSU, already has familiarity with Joe Brady. He knows the system, knows the scheme. Then you add Shi Smith later on down the road. Like, now we have 2 legitimate receivers on the team, knowing that we're not going to have DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson both for another 2 years. It's talented depth at the position. I think Davion Nixon has a chance to be a starter at 3 tech next to Derek Brown. He's violent with his hands. I love that pick later on. I believe it was our 5th round pick. And then listen, man, even a guy like Chuba Hubbard, like, it cannot be the game plan like it was under Ron Rivera to run Christian McCaffrey into the dirt. Like, he just isn't going to have a long career if we do that. I love the fact that we drafted a tough, 4.48 runner that can take some of the pressure off of McCaffrey. You know, then Deonte Brown, you know, I'm not as low on our offensive line picks as the 4-man rush guys. I respect your opinion. I do think Christensen didn't face a high level of competition, and that's a legitimate knock, you know? So I understand why you might have some criticisms about him. I do think his athletic upside does project to be a franchise left tackle if he does, you know, learn the more nuances of the positions of an NFL speed rush and all the moves that come with having to play a left tackle. I love our value. I see a ton of potential starters. I'm loving what we did. I really do.
CK, your thoughts on the upside of this draft?
You know, I have always throughout my life been a fan of quality over quantity. You know, it's how I, you know, approach my work. It's how I approach, you know, anything that I do is always making sure what I'm doing is the best it can be without having to do, like, I don't want to do 50 shitty jobs in order to be able to make up the money I would make if I did a fucking incredible good job one time. And right. I feel like that's the approach, as we've talked about, the quantity over quality here. I think the upside is that you're throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping something sticks, right? You know, that's the game plan here. And again, you can use the Ravens account and say, you know, all right, they've had the most draft picks. That's why they've been one of the most successful teams when you look at the draft classes. You know, that's logical. But at the same time, when you're picking 8, it's hard to, like, and when you have that, I mean, you have an early round in the second round. I mean, you have an early pick in the second round that you trade back on. I mean, I'm not hating the picks we have. I feel like we were so focused on acquiring picks that we weren't focused on the best available players that were on the draft that filled the needs that we needed. I I like the depth, but the upside I think is not as exciting as I was hoping it was going to be.
How'd you feel about the Horn pick with Fields there and Slater there?
I like Fields, and I get why everybody wanted Fields. I was more upset we didn't take Slater.
Okay.
Over Horn. Yeah. Because I feel like that's one thing that we have been saying for the past 5 years. We want our offensive line built up. We're picking in the top 10. And yeah, Sewell to Slater, there's a drop off, right? You are getting that, but you're still getting the number 2 left tackle in the draft. And that's not something we can say we've had since, even in the top 5 left tackles in the draft since we drafted Gross. And that's been 15 years. What? I mean, I wish that they would have maintained the reality that they said that. I mean, now I could be wrong, but I feel like I believe them saying at one point that they want to build the wall, that it's about building, building from the trenches, and then everything else kind of goes with that. But I don't feel like I saw that. I mean, they got a little bit of, depth on those, but I don't know that I see anybody that's going to be, or at least at the current moment, that's going to be able to flip this offensive line into a top tier offensive line. I think Sam Darnold's in for a rough year if things sit the way that I think it's going to sit.
I felt like I was that kind of wild fan that just needed to because I have not been a big fan of Teddy Bridgewater throughout the whole process. And, and I was such a giant fan of Cam prior to the Teddy Bridgewater experience. So we all know the emotions that go with this. I felt like I was the kind of fan that's sitting there, that's the wackadoo fan, wanting, crying, like claiming, let's get the quarterback, what it takes. And then we didn't do that. And then we didn't even do the most reasonable thing, which is pick the offensive lineman. But then all the draft heads told me this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And look, isn't it the funny part about this is like, if we would have made this pick 3 years ago, we would have been all jumping up and down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a certain time that this pick would have been the greatest thing ever for us. And we'd be like, we finally got a corner. That's the top of the line. We ain't trying to get James Bradbury to be the best cornerback ever in the history of the world. And then starting him and Sanchez. Remember that year we did all 3. This was a wild year for trading back, though. Dave Gettleman has never traded back in his history of being a GM, and he got the trade back fever along with Carolina. Pat, speaking of trading back, if you're going to rank this draft on execution, because we have been told, and we've been debating this on our show for many years now, probably since the beginning of the show, is whether or not Marty Hurney was any good at his job, right? And half the time he's great at his job, we would say he's like the only time he's great at his job is in picking in the first round, and then everything else he was terrible at. And then we've been begging for an improvement in the front office and vision. Aaron said this earlier, is that at least we saw a plan, whether or not we agree with the plan. What did you think about the execution of this draft? There was a lot of movement for this team. They were throwing a lot of darts to the dartboard.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to judge. I need to see how these players work out. I'm like everybody. It's cool that we did, all that trading back just to gain players that they say are still valuable players. As far as the execution, I don't totally agree with it. Like I said, only time will tell. To trade down when you had a chance in the second round to still get a premier offensive lineman, you trade down, and I feel like everybody got happy. Yeah, we traded down to get Terrace Marshall, but we could have still filled needs with the best player available. I don't know if it's just we was doing something different that got everybody excited. But as far as execution, I'm not. It's hard for me to gauge it. As you could tell, I'm not super happy about it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's dope that he did, do that, and we got all these players. I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about these players, and in my opinion, like I said, these players have to work out for me to be happy about this situation. It's hard for me to just be happy right now, or excited about what was done in this draft. It's cool that we got all those drafts and we got a lot of players that a lot of people know and they feel like they are solid players. I just feel like we could have did a better job. You don't have to trade down just for the sake of gaining picks. like somebody touched on, you could have got the best player available. It seems like you made it more difficult than it should have been this draft.
Yeah,
you made it way more difficult than it should have been.
It almost felt like it was like an attempt to just overperform. Like it felt like Scott Fitterer was trying to do more to prove that he was going to be a good GM in this league than I think he needed to. That I think we can at least take away from this is next year, and there's a lot of people that talk about what next year is about. The draft picks next year are going to be a premium because you're going to be able to, for the first time in almost 2 years, well, I guess they were able to do it last year, but to be able to actually do your own medical examinations on these players and things like that. So, I mean, you've accumulated some picks that are going to be for next year, and I think there's a premium on those picks. But I agree. I think that there was a lot of movement that, again, in the moment, I think we're excited. Oh my gosh, Fitterer's doing something. We haven't seen this in years, right?
Right.
But what did he? I mean, like I see some names, and I think that people can always look at upsides. But there's a reason that they're 4th round picks. There's a reason they're 6th round picks. It's that they're not likely to be star players in this league.
But I think we're looking at this the wrong way too, right? Like I know there's portions of the fan base that feel like they didn't get the people that they wanted, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's also about what did they have on their board. Yeah. I don't think Fitterer was out here trading back in these streets unless they knew about the grading of their board, because they pretty much said that they had a 1st round grade on Terrace Marshall, and they got him at the end of the 2nd. They have 2nd round grades on some of the folks they got in the 3rd.
So why didn't
don't they say that about everybody though? Isn't it kind of interesting that they always get every team always gets their number 1 player on their board?
But that's the gamble though, right? And that's why I think Scott Fitterer does deserve more praise than even he's getting. Like if you have a bunch of players that you love and you say, well, let's move back a little bit and get 3 players that we love. I understand why he did it. I'm looking at, Terrace Marshall. If you look at what he did at LSU and Joe Brady's offense, and in 2019, he actually was hurt, and apparently he was the best receiver on the team before he got hurt. This is what I have a brother who's an LSU fan. I'm just relating to you what he told to me. So he does have a tremendous upside. I think that we did that a bunch of times throughout the draft, where we grabbed a player that we just flat out, we saw something in them, or we figured that they would be there when we moved back. And listen, like another reason why I can't be too mad at this is like the Panthers, more than any other team, have the least amount of picks over like the last 5 or 6 years or something like that. Like, we always have 5 or 6 picks every year. It's like, go back to that David Gettleman draft, where he grabbed Zach Sanchez and Bradbury.
Well, he drafted 3 corners back to back.
Yeah, like it's like, since this is so different than what we know, I have no problem with this, man. Especially if these guys end up living up to their perceived value.
They're just trying to build their team. They're just trying, like Fitterer and Rhule's trying to build their team. And there's a lot of players that I promise you guys, man, there's folks that are going to get cut this next round that some of you guys are going to be surprised by, because it's going to be about their guys. It's ultimately going to be about their guys. They want to build.
Hey, I'll be honest, I don't have a problem with that, man. Go ahead and rebuild the team. Go ahead.
Give me a hot take. I don't want to hear Greg Little. I heard a dude in the comments say, listen, I heard a dude named CJ in the comments say I probably had a high grade on Greg Little. You ask anybody that know me, I had a 6th round grade on him. I hated that pick. So I see him getting cut, to be honest with you. Give me some more names. Give me some more. Ian is gone. We know that. Yeah, give me some more. Give me something outside of the obvious.
All right, Dante Jackson. Dante Jackson.
I think Jansen's making the team. Whatever. Jansen's not making the team.
Zylstra, Kirkwood.
But I think those are still going to be surprising drops.
We got 100 wide receivers, man.
He said Dante Jackson. I thought Dante was a perfect compliment for JC Horn. They're the opposite type of player.
But you know what's funny? Like, they came out with the post-draft look at the Panthers, and you know what the first corner they named in that list? They named JC Horn.
Yeah, of course. What you mean?
Well, no, but that's not the case for all the other picks. Let's be clear.
Come on our team or other teams?
No, I'm talking about the Panthers team. Like they had a post draft. They on their site.
He's our starting corner because the other guys are bums, dude.
Day one starter.
I have a feeling. No, but my
they
point
want you
is,
to be an impact player day one starter if you're in the top 10 chosen.
No, here's my thing. I have a feeling that when AJ comes back, AJ's not going to be taking. AJ's not taking JC's spot. AJ's going to be taking Dante's spot.
But somebody in here really believes that Dante's not going to play out his contract.
So he's going to play it out. I think he's going to play it out.
He can't afford.
I don't think he. But I think after AJ, after AJ's suspension, I don't think he's starting.
AJ missed the whole season last year, and then he's going to be missing the first 2 games. You don't think it's going to be some kind of rust? They're not going to throw him right into the fire.
Dante's our starting.
He didn't miss last year. He missed the last 2 games. I mean, the last 4 games. And he got to miss the first 2 games.
2 for the suspension.
For the suspension. But you got to think about it.
What?
NFL's offense are playing more 11 personnel now. So your nickelback is the 3rd starter. So for me, you're going to see Horn, you're going to see Bouye, and you're going to see Jackson on the field a lot together. You know what I'm saying? And with the depth that we add, I think about time we're going to finally see some down personnel because I'm tired of our inside linebackers trying to check these slot wide receivers when they're in 4 and 5 wide sets. I think, with these zone principles that we've been playing, now that we truly got man corners in our secondary, I think that we finally going, Phil Snow is really about to show
hopefully
what he about to do. You know what I'm saying?
He's the best coach on the team, I think.
Yeah, because just out of personnel, it shouldn't be a Dante versus Horn or anything like that. All 3 of them are going to get mad reps because, teams ain't lining up and punching them out no more. Everybody want to go spread 3, 4, 5 wide. So you're going to need depth at the 3rd and 4th cornerback spot. So everybody going to have room to eat in that secondary. It's just a matter of how well you eat.
Well, I think the Dante Jackson situation is interesting because I think because we have a new GM, unless they feel like they're going to re-sign Dante or they're going to be able to re-sign Dante, I wouldn't be shocked if they decide to trade him during the season, guys. Because I think I'm tired of
who's going to want old four-toed Dante Jackson, though, right now?
I mean, I ain't say I was going to get a first-round pick for him, Tony.
Well, it sounds like y'all pretty pessimistic about Dante, but you got to listen to how you.
I'm going to be okay with Dante.
No, I'm okay with him.
I'm not going to hate on Dante.
You got to listen about how your coach speaks about him, though. Matt Rhule's very high on him. He does like him. You're right.
But Matt Rhule,
we don't trust Matt Rhule.
Yeah, Matt Rhule has been high on like 50 different people, and then off the team. Yeah, the team as soon as he
I get that, but you got to look at the facts. Dante had a strong last 4 games. When he's healthy, you can see the growth in him, to be honest with you. I think the goal is to keep him and Horn together. That's a tandem because they're 2 opposite players. One is a ball hawk, one is a man corner. Your quarterback is going to have to pick his poison. I think the goal is to try to re-sign him. That's just my hot take.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a legitimate take.
Don't you think he still has a lot to prove, though, especially with the toe, especially with the toe injuries, especially back to
he's top 5 and taking the ball away.
It can be both. It can be both, right?
To when they were on Amazon and Monolin was trying to talk to him about being diligent and really doing things the right way. Like I agree with you. I like Dante. I've always liked Dante Jackson.
Taking that ball. Hey, Cody, you need somebody to take that ball. Go ahead.
I agree, bro. Look, I know Dante's the man. What I'm saying is like, to me, this year is a big year for him.
Yeah,
because he hasn't done nothing that
I thought last year was supposed to be a big year for him too.
As of this moment, for as good as he has been, I would not feel comfortable signing him to another extension based off of just what he's done. I think he needs a big year this year, and I think he's set to have one. But I'm curious. I'm curious to see if it'll be in the slot or on the outside. Like, where are they going to play him?
My concern about Dante,
he played everywhere. He played everywhere at LSU.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. Like, they played him at slot. They had him at free safety. Dante is best when he used as a utility knife. Line them up, based on your matchup and your personnel. We seen it on the all 22, even with Rivera. He was playing free safety at times in certain packages. When they went, it's going against heavy personnel. So the best thing to do is move Dante Jackson around, not just have him strictly as an outside number 2 cornerback. You want to get the best of him, let him be versatile, let him be multiple. That's where you see, the value that he possesses. That's why getting guys like Keith Taylor and things like that too. And AJ, it gives you options to move these pieces around that we couldn't do last year.
Well, no, by necessity, we needed more depth at this position. By necessity, is that is that we're all hoping that Dante Jackson can fulfill the potential, but injuries are becoming a part of it, and you have to get a roster that can compete each and every week, and you hope Dante is. I think you're right. Matt Rhule has spoken very fondly of Dante. I think Dante Jackson's a type of player that Matt Rhule likes, almost like a type of personality he likes, where he can get more out of him than maybe a Ron Rivera could. Right? I think he likes that coaching. I won't say challenge, but it's not a challenge. It's just can you get, and he can get kids to buy in. Right?
Here's my concern. We draft all these players, right? We always draft all these players, and this franchise has had a problem re-signing some of the key guys that we need to keep.
For sure.
Do I think Dante Jackson should be back on this team after this year? Absolutely. Am I concerned that we're going to re-sign him? Yes, especially if he balls. I just don't want him to walk away from this franchise for nothing. That's my big concern right now.
I think he's got to show us that he's worth keeping at this point. Like, he's like the only reason that he's gotten this long of a leash at this point. I mean, now injury, he had a year that, he's had some moments that are good, but he's had some moments that aren't great. He has to put it all together.
At what price?
Together a healthy year.
You can get an extension. You ain't got to get big boy dollars to get an extension.
Right. Just extend him. At the end of the day, you want ball skills, right?
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments said all he has is elite speed. No, he has that plus ball skills.
He is a hawk.
No, he's a hawk.
He had that before.
He bring a little bit.
Can y'all tell me when we had a whole secondary this athletic? I want to keep that together. I'm not used to having this. I want to keep it together. That's all.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't want that. I don't want them to let that man walk for nothing.
Hey, real quick, 2 house notes real quick. Shout out Slim J for the $10. He says official draft grade is a B of the NFL GM ran this draft. Hey, look, I like it, Slim. I'm on your team, bro. And last but not least, T Money slipped in unannounced. Everybody said, "What's up to T Money?"
What up? I was gonna ask T Money the next question. Hey, Code Dizzle, hit him with a little shame real quick before we intro T Money.
Right now, we need every one of you to hit that like button. I'm gonna do this. Subscriber shame.
All right, go ahead and subscribe to the C3 Panthers podcast. We're live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. You can call in the show at 252-228-5098. I know Pat's gonna have to go in a little while, so I'm gonna ask T Money this question. Then you're on the spot, T Money. What is your storyline for this draft? It can be Panthers focused, it can be anything focused, but if you are going to walk away and you're going to tell me you're going to come back on the show in 2 or 3 years and you're going to say this is the storyline of the 2021 draft, what's the story that's resonating with you, T Money?
I feel like the answer is right fits. I feel like a lot of people, especially in the first round, went to situations that's going to be the best for them or very good for them, whether it's Jamar Chase getting to go back with Joe Burrow, Devonta Smith getting to go back with Jalen Hurts, pairing up 2 alphas like JC and Dante. I just feel like it was a lot of very good fits in the first round. I feel like, I don't know, I guess everybody's board was kind of, they knew who they needed and what they needed, whether it's your boy going to the Lions, trying to get that toughness that Dan Campbell wants. I just felt like it was a lot of good fits in the first round.
What were your thoughts about the Panthers draft?
I like the draft. I like that it really felt like that they had a plan this year, and we can't say that about every year. And right. I feel like a lot of these guys I think are going to be contributors. They may not start, but I think a lot of these guys that we took this year are going to be on the field this year.
Who's your favorite outside of JC? Like, you can't answer JC Horn. And you can't answer. Well, yeah, that's it. That's the only answer you can't answer. Who's your favorite in this draft? For us.
I think he's going to be better than advertised. The left tackle we got from BYU. I know a lot of people was kind of sleep on him.
The four-man rush crew don't like him.
And I see his face is covered.
I know.
Take that message off. I gotta see the face coverage.
Take the comment down.
Take the comment down immediately.
Take the comment down. We can't see the face, Cody.
I got to see the face. The face.
I know the four-man rush guys was kind of hating on him, but
they see.
I think he's gonna start year one. I think he's gonna start year one.
Year one?
Maybe not game one, but at some point this year, I think he'll be our starting left tackle.
Hey, T-Money. Hold on. T-Money, you would start day one because your competition is Greg Little. Stop it, bro.
Well, when I said it the last
Cam
time,
Irvin, dude, that's the guy that they brought in to start.
I'm a Florida State fan. Your competition is Greg Little, my brother. It's not hard.
Irvin ain't it?
Well, when I said it the other day, y'all got mad at me, but I haven't given up on Greg Little. Maybe it's because I met him.
He ain't gonna be on this roster, so you might as well go ahead and give up now. They have 16 offensive linemen.
He's the softest football player in the NFL.
There's 7 linemen that's gonna get the axe, and Greg Little is gonna be one of them.
If we're supposed to believe in Cam Irvin and his good days is even farther away. At one point, Greg Little was seen as a top 10 pick.
You want a
bold prediction? We never believed in Greg Little from day one. I looked at the.
No. You want a bold prediction?
I was sicker when we drafted him.
We're gonna have two. We're gonna have 2 starting offensive linemen from Grambling. That's my bold prediction for this show.
I'm with that.
We're gonna have 2. We're gonna have 2 starting offensive linemen from Grambling. Trent Scott and David Moore gonna be starting.
Church, let
me get the floor for a second because I want to answer this question about upside. Because we're talking about offensive linemen, I don't want to give the improper perspective about how four-man rush feels. When we talk about Deonte Brown, we're big fans of Deonte Brown, but we just also are realists. So when it comes down to watching his play, he struggles getting to the second level. What we want more than anything else is we want Christian McCaffrey to get 4 yards upfield before he's touched. So when it comes to Deonte getting to these linebackers and getting to these safeties, that's where he struggles at the most, and that's our only concern. Outside of that, you want him to pull, you want him to trap, you want him to pass block, we're 100% on board. We had him getting drafted in the 3rd round. So to get him where we got him, that was a steal for us. But I got to critique everybody. I just don't like how he is on the 2nd and 3rd levels. That's it.
So you think we're doing more gap than zone? What you thinking we should do with him?
And just to let y'all know, update on the weight. I didn't know if y'all found out. I didn't know if y'all found out about his weight. You know, when he was at the Senior Bowl, Deonte Brown was 360. Right before the draft, he got down to 324. So that man put in the work.
He's dedicated.
So I'm thinking that we're going to see much more improvement with his eventual athleticism to get to the second level. It's going to take time, but the fact that he decided to drop almost 40 pounds in 5 months, that shows me that that he knows what's up. So.
And I think Rhule drafted him.
I'm liking that.
I think Rhule drafted him because of that too. I think Rhule being at the Senior Bowl was very advantageous to say the least, because there's a lot of guys he took. He rolled with in the Senior Bowl, including David Moore.
I'll give you my honest comparison. I don't know how much this guy would fit in today's style, but Deonte Brown reminds me of Larry Allen.
Yeah,
it's rumored that he was the strongest man on Alabama's football team. The way he mauls, the way he gets up under guys. He has a lot of Larry Allen traits, so we just gotta hope that's what he ended up being. But
hey, we gotta talk about this. Did anybody figure out how old this man is yet? Because
I think he's 27. He got to be 27.
No.
I did the background check. He's 27, bro.
Bro, let me feel.
Nobody can really find out this dude's age.
Bro, really. Let me fill in Tony, because I know Tony doesn't know what we're talking about.
Is this the guy that has 2 players with the same name?
No, the guard that we drafted, Deonte Brown. Nobody can find out how old this man is. It doesn't matter where you look. You cannot find a birthday for this man.
Did y'all ask him on Twitter?
Birth certificate, dude. He ain't got birth certificate. Do you remember that kid that was this was probably God, man, this is like 20 years ago, 25. there was a Little League World Series, and they took away the championship from this team because the kid had
picture, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, that picture, and he is like 17 years old playing. And he was from like Puerto Rico, and nobody knew what his age was. And they were like, "He's 12."
Nah, he wasn't 12 at all. Yeah.
Hey, do y'all think it was a coincidence? I'm sorry. Y'all think it was a coincidence that Senior Bowl that Matt Rhule actually had more, also taking reps at center. I think he's going to be the eventual placement to Paradis.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love that, man. I would really love that. I mean, and let's be real, like Matt Paradis is only as good as the guards next to him. Like when he has some serviceable guards next to him, he grades really high, but man, like, he hasn't been overly impressive. I don't think he lived up to the contract that we signed him for, if I'm being honest. So I would love if we have his eventual replacement on our roster. And look, another person I've been dying to talk about, man, Shi Smith. And bro, Aaron, come on, you got to talk to me, man. We drafted 2 South Carolina guys. Listen, I really like Shi Smith. Man, I think his route running was one of the better. He's one of the better route runners in this entire draft. This is another guy we got to see a ton at the Senior Bowl. Like, do we really think this guy could be a legitimate player for us? Because I'm thinking so.
I mean, he's going to have to get in where he fit in. Obviously, this receiver room is very crowded. Let's just be frank. We got some dogs in there, so we got some competition. That's the worst case scenario. We came out this draft with competition. Competition usually brings out the best in some people and the worst in others. So it's going to separate the boys from the men. Regardless, of course, I have a soft spot for Shi and JC. Obviously, they're Gamecocks, but I mean, Shi, he's got some speed. He can make some plays in the slot. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping there's a spot on the team for him. We'll see. But
don't sound like a whole lot of confidence. You watch this man be real.
Yeah, bro.
This receiver room is crowded, bro.
We got 100 receivers.
Well, I'll give him a little bit more confident vote. I feel
there's 6 of them. He's going to be one of the 6.
He'll be on the team. He's not getting cut. He's not getting cut.
I feel like more so as far as role wise, he fits more of the Curtis Samuel role than Terrace Marshall does. I think they just like Terrace Marshall as a good receiver, a potential replacement if Robbie Anderson try to get greedy. I feel like Shi Smith is going to be doing more of the Curtis Samuel stuff, whether it's the jet sweeps, the stuff out of the slide, to just get it in his hands and see what he can do out of it. I feel like he's more the replacement for Curtis Samuel. I know a lot of people was trying to say maybe Terrace Marshall was, but I feel like Shi will be.
You need a red zone threat too. He's been pretty solid in the red zone if you look at his history. We've been terrible in the red zone.
And he gets mad separation. Like, you talking about something that'll really help Sam Darnold out. I mean, when you watch him on film, and definitely at the Senior Bowl, like dude's ability to get open is like sickening. Like, damn, he just, he's got something special. But again, he's going to have to fight through a crowded room.
Is he going to the practice squad?
No.
He's gonna be a return. Who's our return guy?
Somebody said, can Chuba
it might be Trenton. Well, I don't know if he'll make the team. Will Trenton make the team this year? The running back?
Trent Cannon.
Yeah.
He should.
For a returner, yeah. He should definitely be.
He's going to have to be on.
So, Trent Cannon. Who else? Rodney Smith, Chuba Hubbard, C-Mac.
Bonifine.
But my question for the panel, why y'all talk about Tommy Tremble? Like, I just want to, what's the hype about? Somebody tell me.
All right, hey, man, I'll tell you, dude. Look.
I think he's solid. I watched some games on. He looks solid.
But you know what? The reason why I'm asking is because his skill set tells me day 3. I need y'all to convince me why he had to go day 2.
Yeah,
everybody talking about upside.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is 100% an upside pick, man. Like, I know he wasn't targeted a lot at Notre Dame, but y'all mentioned blocking on the second level and running for Christian McCaffrey. Like, bro, this dude, especially in the run game, is going to be Christian McCaffrey's best friend, man. And then on top of that, man, whenever you see someone run on film and you can just tell that they're fast and they're athletic, bro, Tommy Tremble is that kind of a player. Notre Dame just didn't get him involved in the passing game very often. And I think that was a scheme thing more than a him not being able to do it kind of thing. So I think he has tremendous upside. We haven't seen what he can do yet in the receiving department. I think it'll be a lot more than what we saw at Notre Dame. And dude, that guy is mean, man. Like, there's a reason they're comparing him to Kittle. Now, obviously, that's a very lofty comparison, but my man's nasty, dude. My man's looking to put you in the dirt. Aggressive run blocker. I mean, again, I can't sell you on the value. If everybody had him ranked low, then I don't know what to tell you.
I just have his skill set, not him particularly, just his skill set.
Well,
Like,
first of
he's
all,
bringing
I
to the
think,
table.
he replaces two birds with one stone.
Man hurts an armor. I got you.
Together. But I think a lot of people was saying his upside, and I did hear more than one person compare him to George Kittle as that. Maybe you didn't see him catching the ball enough in college, but once he gets to the pros, he's gonna look better because you're gonna give him more opportunities. And I did. He did an interview, I think, with the guys at Draft Network, where he was talking about that, about how he definitely feels like he can catch the ball more. It's just that Notre Dame asked him to do what they asked him to do, which was to run block for their tremendous running game, and that's how they was getting wins. So I like somebody like that anyway, who's gonna be down with whatever the team asked him to do. Instead of the biggest problem with a lot of tight ends now is they feel like they too cute to block.
I feel you. So he's telling you that he can do more in the passing game. He's telling you that. But as a person like me, I'm looking at the metrics. He's had more drops than touchdowns. So I don't view him as ever being a pass catching target. I just think that they're looking at the upside.
So what do you thought? Yeah, that's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody. And how did that make you feel?
I'm just saying.
So look,
you got more drops than touchdowns. That's all I'm saying.
So look, I got a good question, and I'll start with Pat because I know he's about to fall asleep, man. Pat,
I was gonna say Pat's gotta get out of here.
Hey, bro, it's way past bedtime. So
exactly. People got to work. Y'all ain't got no jobs, man.
Yeah, bro. So
you gotta go to work, man. Y'all want to sit there and talk about the daggone. Go ahead.
I'm getting my shot tomorrow, man. I ain't going to work tomorrow.
Might
not go to work Thursday either.
Let me pose this question to all of y'all, man.
I ain't got no job.
Give me your favorite. Give me your favorite player in the draft. And give me your least favorite player in the draft. And by the way, none of you can name the long snapper as your least favorite.
Well, then we can't play this game. You can't even make the rules as we go.
I can't be out here.
The rules.
I can't troll. Is that what I'm saying? That's what I'm hearing.
And I can't say JC for my favorite player, right?
I'll go first real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I got Deonte Brown as my favorite. Just to knock off the narrative that we didn't like him. I think there's a tremendous upside, and my least favorite pick was Brady Christensen.
More than the long snapper? Whoa!
You said you can't use the long snapper.
We can't use the long snapper.
Oh, okay, all right.
So we can't use the long snapper.
All right.
I just feel like if he was drafted in the first round, we could say bust. So we're not going to use bust, but I'm not a fan of Brady Christensen. I'm sorry.
All right.
Y'all gonna stop hating on that, man.
T-Money, who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite?
Again, just because everybody hating on him, I would say my favorite is Brady. And least favorite, David and Rashad, kind of, because I was in there with them during the draft. Only because I'm not sure if we're gonna use them. I guess I would have to say Chuba.
Okay, so you're not high on Chuba.
Not as far as him as a talent or him as a player. It's just y'all know the deal. Can we convince CMC?
We never use anybody else.
We convince CMC just to get off the field for a couple plays.
It's not even that. It's an offensive coordinator. It's every offensive coordinator just cannot resist the temptation to having Christian McCaffrey in on every play. Like they just like, all right, I know I'm supposed to protect them, but I just got to use them.
One aspect I agree with Rashad about that pick is, if you're not going to be willing to get that man 10 touches, it was a wasted pick. Period.
Okay.
Period. Like, I'm walking into that pick saying you're going to give him 10 touches a game.
You mean like Scarlett? Like how we drafted Scarlett at like the 4th and we didn't even let him get a hat?
Yeah.
Can we compromise at 5 touches?
No. Because here's my thing. Here's my thing. This is why I don't have the bigger issue with the Tremble pick. Because when you put Chuba on top of it, it makes sense. Because if you're gonna draft somebody like a Tremble, right? That tells me that you're going to want to run the ball more. Even though you took Terrace Marshall in the second, but Terrace Marshall was straight value because he had no business being at the bottom of the second round. So Terrace Marshall was straight value, right? Which was a phenomenal pick. But if you telling me that you're going to take Tremble and then you take Chuba in the fourth, you're telling me that you are absolutely positively trying to pound this rock. And you cannot be out here giving Christian 30 touches. You got to give Tremble, you got to get Chuba 10. Period.
All right, we were all supposed to ask Pat, by the way. Pat's got to go to bed.
I was supposed to go first.
I know.
And everybody jump in front of me.
Pat, you got the floor, bro. I have to get that out.
But that's four-man rush went first. You good. You good. Yeah, you good.
My bad,
four-man front, four-man rush.
All of them.
Not the only one that agree with me tonight. So we on the same
I feel like they bully you or something, Pat.
Ooh, man, it's all good. I'm used to it. I'm built for it.
It's four-man rush. You know? All right.
Yeah, no. Four-man rush cool with me. They know it. My favorite, man, it's hard to say, right?
Or you could even do what your storyline is. You tell us what you want to leave on the show.
I do the favorite, and I can't use JC Horn because I really like that pick, even though it wasn't a pick. That's probably the most. I thought the Deonte Brown pick was pretty dope, man. We addressed what I really wanted to address, even though we did go with Brady Christensen first. I just didn't like that pick because all of a sudden we pick up Brady Christensen and he turned out to be the best offensive lineman in the world. And I'm like, what? Nobody talking about him, but I feel like the Panther fans are being sold something. But it's all good. So I'll probably go with Brady. My least favorite. My favorite is Deonte. My least favorite, I'll probably go with like Keith Taylor. Like what? I just feel like that was an odd pick. At a time where I felt like I said, I was cool with us addressing the trenches. I like the Davion Nixon pick. Even who was the defensive tackle we picked up? Phil Hoskins or something. Like I like that. So the Keith Taylor pick, that's probably was my least. Just so I don't. Brady Christensen, I'm excited to see what he can do. So he's not my least. I just thought it was a weird pick.
All right. If you got run pack, go ahead and tell them where you.
All right, follow Vince Holmes. It's four-man rush. He got a lot of good tape on Keith Taylor.
Okay, I'll check him out. He four-man rush too.
He does.
He does. Sir, we got a whole team.
Yeah, we 10 deep.
So why y'all not 10-man rush? Boy, I tell you, y'all need a manager, man. Y'all ain't doing it right. But yeah, I don't mess with it. When it comes to four-man rush, I give y'all high praises on my channel all the time. Folks knowing here, look, these dudes know what they know what they talking about. I just go in here and say a bunch of junk, but y'all know what y'all talking about. But yeah, I'm gonna check out. I appreciate you having me on the show, Cody. Tony. I think it's Tony's show, but Cody kind of took it over because it's better than. But you can follow me on YouTube again, Pat Coltrane, Facebook.com/Pat Coltrane. You can hit me up on Twitter at Pat Coltrane. Again, fellas, I appreciate this. This was super dope, and we're gonna do it again.
Appreciate all right, man. Pat. Next time on your channel, homie.
Y'all can't come over to my house. No. What the heck? No, we got to set it up. We're going to set it up, though. I think it'll be dope.
All right, man, we appreciate it, Pat. You guys, I want to ask you this, and then we'll play maybe. First of all, everybody, thanks for your time tonight. Everybody who is on the Roundtable. This show, if you guys have seen, is one that goes an absurd amount of time every Tuesday night. As we answer calls and just moan on and on and on about everything, drone on and about everything. So if anybody needs to go, please do not hesitate to dip out and do what you got to do. I was hoping you guys could convince me why Terrace Marshall Jr. is so good. All of a sudden, as everybody tells me, and look, I watch highlights. That's it. I watched this highlight tape. I was like, all right, let me see what this cat's about. Right. And I saw a guy that looked good in traffic. Right. Looked like he was good in traffic. He looked like he always had a good presence about him. Even when people are kind of trying to muscle him up and at the point of the catch or something like that, he kind of always his head was right about where the ball was. Like he didn't get flustered. Looked like a guy that had good length, good hands, kind of an NFL frame. The only question I got, and I'm not a scout, is like he had a free release on every play that was a good play on that. Like it was like a complete free release. Like he just was like running free, and then they would try to hit him up at the end of the route. Tell me why this guy is we should be so excited, as like Cody said we should be.
So he isn't going to be. He's not going to command the number one corner on any team that he's on. I think if you look at LSU, but yeah, I mean, really, no. I mean, not at LSU, he wasn't, because that was either Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. And here, they're either going to be on DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson. So he runs a 4.38. My man is incredibly fast. He runs fast, super fast. He runs really good routes. He's good in contested catch. Like, he's not afraid going across the middle of the field. And listen, those he had the least amount of drop. I forget the stat, but he didn't drop anything in the red zone. Like in the red zone, he is a go-to receiver, and that's where LSU utilized him a ton. And I think that's what he's going to do for the Panthers. I mean, again, knowing we have Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore now, like there's only so many guys that you can cover. And now that we have that kind of speed, I've said this before, we haven't even begun to see what Joe Brady's offense really looks like, man. Like that man's getting older too. He's 32 years old. We haven't seen the best of him. And now, if Sam can, really turn it on, I think you're going to see parts of the playbook that you've never seen before with our offensive firepower that we have.
Hey, Cody, how you going to see that if you can't block longer than 3 seconds? You better hope these late round picks solve that problem. That's the reason why a lot of us are upset. We want to see Joe Brady's offense, but you can't see it if you can't block for your quarterback, man. That's all I'm trying to do.
We can't pretend like it wasn't some times that Teddy had time and he just.
It wasn't.
Oh, right.
Let me go get my stat, man. Hey, Kevin, how much time did Teddy Bridgewater have in the pocket?
Appreciate it. Check this out. Teddy Bridgewater, the Panthers offensive line was 23rd pass block win rate. That means 52% of the time they can maintain their blocks for 2.5 seconds. That was 23rd in the league. Teddy Bridgewater's clean pocket time was 27th in NFL at 2.3 seconds. So when everybody's talking about, man, Teddy don't never throw it deep. How deep are receivers going to get if the ball is out in 2.3 seconds? That's the fact. Now I'm not saying I ain't saying Teddy was perfect, but when you take the whole package, that's what the numbers say. And whether you like it or not, those are the facts. You got to have time.
But we also watched games, and we also saw it was times that Teddy had opportunities.
It's almost like, and when you only use averages like that, it clumps bad plays together.
That ain't fair, because the bottom line is this: because if Sam Darnold has that same amount of time, we're going to be going at Sam Darnold's neck the same way we went at Teddy's.
Thank you.
But didn't Sam Darnold have like
that's all? But the thing is, it won't be Sam's fault. Now, if Teddy goes down to Denver and balls,
it will be Sam's fault.
But that's not gonna happen though. Like, listen, Teddy Bridgewater had his best year.
That same conversation.
Hold up, had his best year with the Carolina Panthers, and we already traded him after 1 year. Like,
Cody, let's stay on topic, man. Let's stay on. We already know how people feel about Teddy. All I'm saying is, listen. You can't get the best. Listen. You can't get the best out of Joe. All I'm saying is this: you can't get the best out of Joe Brady if you're not giving the quarterback time for those routes to develop.
True that.
Now, to answer your question about how I feel about Terrace Marshall, I said it earlier. I think if you look at our weaknesses on offense, we struggled in the red zone. He's a red zone target. I think he makes us a lot better in the red zone. Those are my thoughts on him, and I'm gonna let y'all have the floor.
One of y'all, one of the 4-man rush crew, when we did the mock draft on Panther Nation podcast, do you remember we all had to like sit there?
I was shout out to Will Harris.
Oh yeah, Will was correct.
He mocked Terrace
He picked that on
I shouted him out 3 times because I was like, I shouted him out multiple times when we took that pick because I loved it, and I loved it even more because we kept trading back, and we still got him. Because I have a feeling that they would have took him with the original 2nd round pick based on the value. So
I feel like that with a lot of our picks, though, that was guys we really liked, and we just happened to trade back, and they were still there.
Yeah.
Hey, Team Money, if me and you was we was coaches in the offensive line room, we'd be fighting, bro. We'd be fighting a lot. I just want you to I like you. I admire you. Listen, I like you. I admire you. But when you say the words war room, yeah, me and you will be at war.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if some of the folks that were accepting that war room was like somebody like a Joe Brady or one offensive line coach. He probably was losing his shit because of all the tackles that were going off the board at that time.
I mean, that's what.
All right, so here's this: is what should we have done? You guys have been very adamant that we messed up by not addressing the offensive line adequately. Tell me this: what is?
I'm just gonna put myself on mute.
What's the alternative scenario? What is the alternative scenario you believe should have happened?
Here's my thing. I think I know what they were trying to do with all the trade backs, right? I think they wanted to try to get back the Darnold value. And I think they accomplished that mission. I think they accomplished that. But if we stayed at the picks that we had, we probably would have took a lineman with that pick.
What would you have wanted, Smooth? Who would you have wanted?
I'll get it out the way quick. So when we did the initial trade back, you can go on my Twitter. I said that was a good move. It was just bad luck that Carmen, Cosme, they were off the board by the time we picked. But it's an atrocity that Wyatt Davis was on the board multiple times that you were on the board to pick, and you didn't take Wyatt Davis. Mm-hmm. To me, Wyatt Davis was the best guard in football last year as far as college goes. He was the best guard. And then a guy that I wasn't extremely high on, just because I didn't watch much of his tape, but when I went back and watched it, it's no reason why Creed Humphrey should not have been a pick. Creed Humphrey was arguably the best in the country.
At center, though, you're going to move Perry.
At center. You know what? At this point, because I know I have a weakness on my offensive line, if I have to use a weighted BPA philosophy, Creed Humphrey should have been a Carolina Panther.
What you gonna do with Perry?
Even if you go with the RAS score.
Perry's got one more year. Like, who cares? If the philosophy is take the best player available, and you have an opportunity, not just addressing this year, but
to figure out something to do with Paradis. You gonna pay him to sit on the bench?
No, you play him. You put him somewhere.
Let him start, but he's gonna have to get out of here. If you're going BPA weighted, you want to get the best player available, but still address a need. You know your offensive line needs to get better. He was on the board. You passed on him for Tommy Tremble. You passed on Trey Smith for a long snapper. You passed on Wyatt Davis. It was so many guys that I saw that were going to be day one starters and Pro Bowlers that we passed on. And that's my issue with this draft, to be honest with you. Everybody knew that we needed to get the offensive line better. We passed on a lot of day one quality starters.
So the question of the day that I have for you, I want an honest opinion on you, Smooth, because do you think because we addressed the offensive line in free agency is probably why they were willing to pass on these players? That's what I'm thinking on my end.
I mean, if that's the reason why, then I'm gonna go crazy because, like I told you, I'm a diehard Florida State fan. I know Cam Irvin is not it. I know F. Lane from Minnesota is not it. I really looked at them, like I looked at the contracts. I thought those were depth options. I thought, like, you know what? Just in case we can't get the lineman that we need, we have somebody
like that too. But that's also why I feel like Brady gonna start.
We signed them on day one of free agency.
You know what? Cam Irvin is better than Brady Christensen, bro. Like, we really hurting that tackle. I would look to sign.
Bro,
Chicago.
We got
Chicago just released They just released their left tackle. I think we're gonna go after him. I don't think we're done yet. I don't. If you want to make the playoffs, if you feel like you got a roster that's talented enough to at least make a push with a 17-game season, You got to get that left tackle position on the way.
My big, because like I'm looking at the roster, man. We got.
I just feel like that's a large discrepancy. That y'all feeling like Brady is a bench player. He ain't gonna start. He's 24, so I guess what y'all saying, he never gonna develop into a starter.
I have open mind. No, I think he can develop. I have open mind, T-Money. I just want you to send me some tape that shows me he can be an effective player in this league. Show me that he can be better than Greg Little.
Zach Wilson got a highlight tape. He had to be blocking.
And he went to the Jets. He's gonna bust. Y'all gonna laugh at him in 2 years.
But I'm saying for him to have a highlight tape at BYU, Brady had to be doing something.
Did you watch the film? Because if you watch the film, Zach Wilson did a lot of his own. There was times when we was watching film, like me and Smooth sat down for like a good hour just to make sure our dislike for Brady Christensen wasn't ill-mannered. And it was so many times that Zach Wilson just did some Superman shit just to make the play happen. So just to put it all in a lump sum and say because Zach Wilson was good, that means he had good blocking. Nah, he took shit and made sugar out of it and made the play happen. That's so what. If you sit down and watch the full game, you will see how many times Zach Wilson had to jump hoops, go up under this, and just to get the playoff. It happened more than not. But since we're not watching BYU versus Texas State, we don't get to see that on ESPN.
So, okay, what would you say is your specific criticism of Christensen in his film? Mine is because I never saw him go up against too many talented speed rushers. Like, I don't know how good he is, in his kick set, because he never really had to do that too often. He never was really threatened by a guy getting to his back foot first. So what is it specifically about Christensen that you don't like? Do you think he's like weak at the point of attack? Is it slow? What is it about him?
I'll get it out the way first, and then if you don't mind, let Kevin go right behind me, because we both came together on these perspectives. But for one, he's not long enough to play tackle. When I see when he gets pressured early with a speed rusher, he kind of gets flustered. For two, I want a dog when it comes to mauling. You show me a game where he dominated in the run game. Show me one. Show me one where he dominated his opponent in front of him. He don't dominate. I'm not going to say he's soft. Greg Little is soft. But when you're looking at him, there's no game that you can show me where it's just like, you know what? I'm driving my golf the ball 5. Because, again, this is lesser competition. I want to see domination. If y'all go back to 2012, 13, Amini from Hawaii, so he was dominating on Division II. He was killing people. You don't see Brady kill nobody. I'm being honest with you.
So what do you think the coaching staff saw in him?
Y'all slight him for. Y'all was ready to defend Slater to the world off of his one game against Chase Young. Because if we remember when we was having a conversation the other day, Big Cat was talking about how Slater didn't look dominant or like he was just driving.
That was Big Cat. I seen Slater dominate. I can go to if you want DM me, bro. I can show you Slater driving a DT off the ball 3 yards. That's what I'm asking for.
So what do you think the coaches saw in him?
So you telling me it's not one game that you saw that Brady just?
Yeah. What did the coaches?
To be honest with you, the guys that's in the offensive line room, I don't think they were sold. That's why that rumor is going around that so many people in that war room were upset with what we did on offensive line.
What do you think anybody saw there? We don't know exactly what was going on.
They saw 99. They saw 96 PFF grade.
They saw a 9.5 RAS score.
So you think they drafted him off a $24.99 a month subscription rating?
Right. So here's where I add to the other part. Another thing about Chris, I don't like, he doesn't bend at his waist enough to maintain that leverage to keep the play in front of him. I watched 3 whole games of him so far. BYU versus Louisiana Tech, BYU versus University of Houston, and BYU versus University of Texas San Antonio. There were defensive ends that probably gave up 50 to 75 pounds that because they got leverage on him because he's not bending, that was just whooping his ass. And I'm sitting here like, and I'm looking up these players, like I'm trying to see like, whoa, damn, why? And I'm looking at guys 6'2", 250, playing defensive end, and I'm looking like this ain't adding up. So for me, it's the fact that his footwork and his waist bend leaves much to be desired. Now, What I will say that I think they saw in him is he is very athletic. You throw him on a tackle pull, he does get out in space very well. I will give him that. But what's the use of being out in space if you don't miss? Because like we saw a couple of screen passes, he had a defensive back right in front of him and he just whiffed. Big belly just slid on the ground like he on a slip and slide. And I'm like, bruh, he was right there. You know what I'm saying? And I saw that more than once. I mean, and that's just in the 3 games that I've seen this past season. I haven't even went through the whole season yet. This is me speaking off watching 3 whole games of him right now. And I've yet to see, like Smooth said, I've yet to see a game where in the run game, he's getting somebody off the line. Y'all remember that 4th and 1 against the Raiders where Armour got stopped? That's Brady Christensen on the line, getting pushed down the line and clogging up the hole, because that did happen the few times that BYU did run the ball. So he's not a run enforcer by no stretch.
These games y'all watching, we're gonna need y'all to start.
I got you. Look, I just want to put one more point because I'm done. I gotta go to work.
Okay, go ahead.
To be honest with you, the knocks that I have on Brady Christensen are the same knocks that I had on Alex Leatherwood. And it's what Kevin touched on. It's the leverage. He bends at the waist. In the NFL, you got to get under guys, and he don't show that he can do that. And that's why I had. If y'all think back, a lot of people had Leatherwood is like the second best tackle before Slater came about. I've been had him low just because I know he can't get under guys. I watched Derek Brown and Bruce abuse him because he couldn't get under him. Christensen had the same problem, and the reason why it's going to be a bigger problem is because he got short legs and a long torso. He's a natural waist bender. You don't succeed like that in the pros, bro.
Does your evaluation of him change if he's picked later on? Like if he's a 6th round pick?
See, that's the thing. I thought he was because he's a good football player. In round 3, I thought that was a great pick. The issue that I have is that there were a lot better people at his position that could have went before that. That's it. Okay. You got him when you got him. It is what it is. It's just that you settled for that when you had better options before that.
Well, when we traded out of what pick that was, what pick was that we gave to the Bears?
The 39th pick.
39.
And they off the rip. And they got Telvin Jenkins. Yeah, I was about to say they off the rip took Telvin Jenkins, who I felt like y'all liked, didn't y'all?
Because 6 tackles went within the next 8 picks after that.
That was just terrible luck on Carolina. I don't think they anticipated that.
And even if you view Christensen as a guard, if you view him as a guard, Wyatt Davis is a better guard than him. Trey Smith, regardless of the red flags, is a better guard than him. Jackson Coleman is a better guard than him. It was just so many names that were better than him that you had the availability to get, and you chose not to get. You settled for that. I don't like settling in the draft. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to settle.
So I know a lot of the stuff you mentioned was like short legs and arms and stuff, but do you think any of the stuff about him can be fixed by the coaches, or developed?
Tackle, I think he's going to struggle at because of what you mentioned, the short legs and the arms. I view him as a guard, and when I go to guard, I look for explosive guys, and he has that. If you look at his broad jump, you look at his vertical, he's explosive. But then there's a point where you just got to be a football player. You got to be nasty. He don't dominate. He don't finish nobody. I got to go back to Super Bowl. I'm looking for when you talk about my left guard position, Deonte Brown fills that role because I'm looking for Andrew Norwell. I'm looking for somebody to be nasty and set the tone and dominate. Brady's not giving you none of that. He's not going to give you none of that. I'm just being honest with y'all.
All right, man. We appreciate the perspective. We know you got to go to work. Go ahead and tell them where they can get after you on social media.
Same as this. 4MR_smooth. I'm on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's my brother Kevin Avery. Same thing for him. Go to our website, THE4manrush.com. And that's all I got to say for this 2 pounder.
Man, we thank you for your input and your time tonight, man, and have fun at work.
I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all all good dudes. Except T Money, bro. When we go in that offensive line room, bro, we got to play. I'll catch up with y'all, man. It was a pleasure.
All right, man. All right, let's go ahead. let's go ahead and turn it over to Aaron. Your final thoughts on this draft for the Carolina Panthers and what you're going to be looking forward to or looking for going forward.
My final thoughts is, I mean, the draft, pre-draft is a crapshoot. I said it before. We won't know how these guys, we see it in college film. We don't know what they're going to do when they get coached. They may get in the offseason program after a couple of years and develop. When they get opportunities to actually play against better competition, sometimes the better competition brings more out of them. We don't know. So it's just hard for me to predetermine and beat them up over certain things. That they had them on their board, they had them. Sometimes fit is everything. I know a lot of Hall of Fame players, even Chris Carter, he talks about fit is the main thing for the NFL. If there's a right fit, you're going to excel. If it's not a fit, it's not going to work. So maybe these guys were their guys on their board. I just appreciate them having a plan to seem like saying what they're going to do, sticking to what they're going to do, executing what they're going to do. Now, how they develop and coach them, that's going to be on Matt Rhule, Joe Brady, Phil Snow, the rest of the coaching staff. But I just appreciate them seeming like they have a plan when it comes to combining pass rush and athletic corners that are nasty, some attitude. We got some hard hitters. We got a lot of speed on this defense. Them putting their eggs in Sam Darnold's basket was the big thing for me as far as the storyline. We talked about it earlier. But, I mean, I can't be too mad at them. It's hard for me to give them exact grade, but I gave them a B+ on my channel for doing what they do because they stuck to what they said. They got hella picks, and they picked 11 guys. They came in with 8, left with 11. So, I mean, it is what it is.
All right, tell them where they can find your work.
Find me at Dunk on Demand on all things. Instagram, you can find me on there at Dunk on Demand. I'm not going to be giving Panthers content, but I do a lot of NFL stuff and fitness stuff. Twitter, that's when I talk all my spit for Dunk on Demand there on Twitter. And then obviously on YouTube, Unnecessary Bluntness Sports Talk. You can holler at me on there.
Word up, man. We appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, sir.
All right, David, tell us your final thoughts on this draft.
I think this was ultimately a statement from Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer. I think they want to run the ball more. I think they want to play physical defense. I think that was a focus. I mean, I'll admit, after us taking J.C. Horn, I was afraid they was going to go full bore on defense for a little while longer. So I was glad that they started going offense after the first round. But I think this is about Matt Rhule has decided that Sam Darnold is going to be the guy that he's going to roll with. And if there's a quarterback that he's going to get more than 1 year with, it's going to probably be him. And his job might be on the line if this fails. This might be a wrap for him if this fails. This might be a scratch and burn moment. He don't have to stay there the full 7 years. He can be out of there in 3. If you're only going to give Teddy 1, I don't see an issue with them giving the coach 3. So, but overall, I think they did good. I gave it an A for the draft. I think the only pick that I questioned was the long snapper pick, but I understood why they were doing it. You
wanted them to give Teddy more? Did you want them to give Teddy more?
Oh, yeah.
More time? Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah, an extra year. I mean, you already signed that man to a 3-year deal. Why not? You're doing pretty much what you're doing. You're grabbing a quarterback who has a worse quarterback rating than what we already had, and you're doing what I thought you should have done with Teddy, which is put pieces around him. You still have.
How about this? What if the Teddy contract wasn't 3 years though? Because I've always maintained that the problem with the Teddy deal wasn't Teddy entirely, but the contract is the problem. He got $40 million guaranteed. He got $63 million overall. At the end, he had only played 5 games. There were questions. There's just as many questions around Teddy Bridgewater going into last year as there are about Sam Darnold or about anybody, right? Because of the injuries, because of the lack of tape, because of all of this.
But you
to
have
me,
to
the
remember,
contract was the problem with Teddy Bridgewater.
It was the problem, but you have to remember this. Teddy Bridgewater won 5 games with Carolina, but it only took him 5 games winning with the Saints for him to get the deal that he got. So if you already made
that's why I think it's a crappy contract because we gave him a bunch of money on the smallest sample set ever.
Man,
there's been
like 12 yards in one game.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
One of those.
Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo.
Garoppolo, Matt Flynn. There's others. There are others.
I know, and those are all awful contracts. You're using the worst examples.
But the thing is, my point is that you made the decision to invest in that man. You gave that man a 3-year deal. You should have given him 2 years to try to fix it. And he had terrible luck with the McCaffrey injury. He's not going to like Sam Darnold is going to get an opportunity of a lifetime. He's going to walk into this situation. He's going to get McCaffrey back. He's going to get a phenomenal draft. His line's going to be better than what he had with the Jets. And then if he freaking stinks up the joint, the only person they can blame is himself. And then everybody's going to talk about, damn, we should have took Fields at 8. But then it would have gone back.
And we
to
would say this is the second mistake at quarterback. That's exactly what we'll say is the second mistake at quarterback by this coaching staff.
But Justin
Teddy
Fields
never bought into being here. Teddy never bought into being here anyway, off from the rip. Remember, it took him forever to change his profile picture. He was still repping Saints for a minute. He was getting into arguments with the fans.
That's superficial, man. It's a lot of players around the league that do that. That's false. That's false.
I'm just off the rip. He was rubbing people the wrong way. We didn't really get the Teddy workout videos with everybody like they doing this year. You see,
in a pandemic, bro. But how come Robbie Anderson went down to Miami and was putting in that work with him? You know what I'm saying? I mean, if he, you know, saying for what the rules was, what players could and couldn't do. He did what he could do when he had to do it. Come on, man.
I think y'all are too. Why are y'all so forgiving at Teddy Bridgewater?
No, it's not
like,
about
I understand.
No,
I understand this. Hold on. Let me say my point real quick. Y'all always after everybody on Twitter about this and that. Like y'all go crazy on the mess. We know we've been into arguments for a long time about the same conversation. Y'all's take, or a lot of people's take. Maybe I don't want to put words into your mouth as well. But that is people are too hypercritical of Teddy Bridgewater, given all of these issues, given no Christian issues. Right. Yeah, and all of this. And then on the other hand, I feel like our position is y'all are hyper like dismissive about anything that we just saw. Like, I mean, is that let me just say this is that the contract was the worst idea. How are you going that contract was bad?
Let's address the contract real quick. Let me just, because I got it pulled up right here with us. For all the big number, only $32 million of that 63 was actually guaranteed. It was 2 years with a third-year option. Had we would have kept him this year, it would only been a $5 million dead cap instead of a $17 million dead cap that we had to eat now. Go
back to that contract real quick, because it turns out I'm pretty sure it's 40. I know the number is 32 guaranteed, but if you count the salary for his first year, that's also guaranteed because he ends up
met certain incentives. He had to meet certain
Well,
incentives.
no, like his first year, he gets his salary and the prorated bonus. So, like, I mean, I know that like 30 million might be guaranteed, and then they split that over 3 years. But if you play 1 year, you also got your salary that year. So we paid him $40 million for 1 year.
That's incorrect.
And you,
right?
He didn't walk out of there with $40 million.
No, that's not right.
That's
he didn't. So you're trying to tell me that he didn't get $40 million now from the Panthers that we traded him?
No, he did not get. No. Now,
what was his salary?
17 million of that is in the dead cap that we're eating. Let's add that.
Yeah, but guess who gets that money?
Who gets the money?
Doesn't he get the 17? Because that's his guaranteed money that was prorated and accelerated.
That's the penalty under the collective bargaining agreement for ending a player's contract with guaranteed money. That dead cap does not go to the quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is only going to get
no. The dead cap is the amount of guaranteed money that you haven't paid him yet.
Yeah, Teddy got, if it was a signing bonus, Teddy already received that.
Yes.
And then if he played the season, he's going to get his base salary for that and anything as such. But the problem is that it got accelerated because we traded the man and we pretty much had to negotiate a payment. Yes. And we ended up paying that man $7 million to get him out of here. But we got to take a bigger cap hit because we got him out of here so early. And I agree, man. It wasn't a good contract. But my thing is this, and this is one good thing that I like about the fact that happened in this draft. This is the first time in the Temper era where it looks like they have a plan. I think the Teddy Bridgewater situation shows that they didn't have a plan. If you're out here only giving that man 1 year, regardless of how bad he played, you ain't really got a plan out here in these streets. So them having that,
I think they was banking. I think they told us what they was banking on. That he knew Joe Brady's offense, and you thought he was going to run the offense better. Now, as far as
talking about him, would have looked with McCaffrey in it, though. Come on, bro.
You're talking about with him in those 5 games with New Orleans. First of all, as much as y'all want to talk about it, New Orleans' offensive line is way better than ours.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you have limitations with Teddy Bridgewater's arm, who's better to have on your team? Who was eating during that time? Slant
Michael
Boy
Thomas.
was eating. Because Slant Boy don't want to run deep. Slant Boy want to run slants. That's what he want to do. And Teddy can hit that all day. Teddy can hit a
All
quick
right, here, let's get off of Teddy. I want to ask this because we did have a person in the chat ask this, and I think it's and we'll ask Kevin this, is that we've talked on this podcast over the last couple of weeks about what our thoughts on the Sam Darnold trade. Your thoughts on Sam Darnold coming into Carolina, Kevin?
Honestly, when it was announced, I was not a fan of the trade. When you sell me on a rebuild, I'm thinking you're looking to clear your cap, get your cap right, and to stock up on your draft picks. When I found out that we gave up a 6, a 2nd, and a 4th for Sam Darnold, my original thoughts was, okay, what are we doing? Because usually you trade for a quarterback and give up draft picks when you got the rest of your team assembled and ready to go. That's what my mind frame, my logic was. But when that happened, and then, like I said, nothing about Sam Darnold's resume in New York. You can say how toxic it was with the Jets or whatever, but you can go back to his USC days. He had his moments, but he wasn't exactly lighting it up either. There's nothing that I've seen throughout his playing career, college or pro, that has me feeling confident like he's the long-term answer. Now, I get the fact that he has the traits, the arm, athleticism. I get all of that. So overall, I don't have high expectations, but I'm going to give him my full support because I have no other choice.
Did you want the Panthers to pick Fields?
I'm going to be honest, and because I wanted Sewell so bad, but I'm going to be honest, when the thought that Justin Fields could drop down to us if we didn't get Sewell, if we would have drafted Justin Fields, I wouldn't have been mad. Because, one, I felt like the criticism that he got was unjustified. Talking about him having epilepsy and because he was playing college baseball, but then they want to credit Mac Jones because his family played tennis and that's why his foot were. I was like, what? And like Smooth said, throughout his career, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields were like this, neck and neck from high school all the way to college as far as like ability. So I wouldn't have been mad if we would have got Justin Fields at 8.
All right. Tell us how they can get after your work.
My work, you can follow me at 4MR country _Kev. That's where you can get at me on Twitter. Again, we already dropped the website, the4manrush.com. Of course, you can catch me on Facebook as well. We just try
You've been doing that Facebook game for a minute, huh?
Yeah, man. It's like I'm like admin in like 10 Panther groups. It's a full day.
How you juggle all this, homie?
Hey, I like multitasking. Luckily, I got the type of job that's like, hey, as long as you keep putting up your numbers, do what you do. All right, I'm say less. So, yeah, I just love this team, man. I just love this team.
We know I've seen you, man, for the whole time I've been doing this, and I know that's the case, man. So y'all check out 4Man Rush. We appreciate your time, Kevin.
All right, y'all fellas be easy.
All right, keep pounding. All right, David, last thoughts on the draft? Wait, you already gave them, right?
I gave you the last thoughts.
Oh, but you want to talk about how dang? That's what. Let me ask you this for Jeff saying your thoughts on Sam Darnold before we go.
I think I was probably in the minority in my opinion on this. Like for me, the moment that we were going after Deshaun Watson told me that I don't think they had an interest in taking a rookie quarterback. Like I think when they try to go after Deshaun, then they try to go after Stafford. And they failed at both. Deshaun because of everything that's going on. Stafford because they were outbid. And they were willing to give up their 8th pick to do it and an additional first. So that says something. I knew they were trying to get somebody that's played some downs in the NFL. So when Darnold came in, I was like, all right, this is what we're rolling with. Darnold's going to be our guy. Let's put the pieces around him like we should have done with Teddy and see what happens. And we'll know whether or not he's any good. I think Darnold has tools and can do things that Teddy cannot. But he also did things that are bad that we can't blame the line on in New York. So maybe a change of scenery will help him. He's younger than Joe Burrow. I think he can make it work. So I'm fine with it. And the fact and the biggest reason why I was fine with all the trade backs that we were doing at the time was because we pretty much paid for the Sam Darnold trade. We used this draft to pay for the Darnold trade. We got back the picks that we lost off this draft. Between that and trading Bridgewater to Denver, we got him. So I'm fine with the trade. Put the pieces around them, see what happens.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Tell them where they can find your work.
So for the Panther Nation podcast, that's Panther Nation PC. We're on YouTube primarily. Panther Nation podcast. I'm on Twitter at ChampD1012, and I see I've gotten some new followers, so I appreciate that. We're also on Facebook at Panther Nation podcast as well.
Man, appreciate your time, David.
All right, man. Have a good one, boss.
T Money, you got a minute?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Well, then why don't we take a call or two and see what people are talking about. TK, you good?
I'm good, man.
All right. Cody lost his power, folks. So he is going to be, I guess it's going to be a minute before. Well, actually, he won't be back on the show tonight. T Money, tell me your thoughts on the draft real quick while I figure out how to pull this call up.
My thoughts on the draft is I feel
or Sam Darnold. We asked everybody about Sam Darnold. I don't know if we've heard you about Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, I like the move. I feel like you wanted to go different than Teddy, and this is different than Teddy. And I agree with everybody else. He has some good, he has some bad. I call Sam Darnold the white Jameis Winston, where you might get 30 touchdowns and you might get 5 interceptions in a game because he's going to trust his arm and he's going to trust his receivers to make plays that they can't always make. And he's going to trust his arm to fit balls in that maybe you shouldn't have thrown that, Sam. Come on. But I feel like that's definitely more so what you want in Joe Brady's offense is you want somebody willing to take them deep shots, especially with these receivers. I mean, yeah, you can have a bad line letting people in. Well, if I got 4-3 receivers and I just throw it, maybe they can run up under it. You know what I'm saying? So I like Sam Darnold. Again, the only way I would have been mad about it, honestly, is if we would have gave up 8. And because we were willing to give up 8 for Stafford, I thought that's what they did. So when I initially heard the trade, I'm thinking they just gave up 8 to get Sam Darnold, and I was pissed. But once I found out what we actually gave up, I mean, I was cool with it. And, I mean, they showed you that they could get those picks back, as they did, besides what the second rounder. You didn't get that back. But if Sam Darnold plays how we feel like he can play, surrounded by the weapons we have, you'll be okay with missing out on that second.
All right. Don't forget, folks, that the C3 Panthers podcast is powered by Volta. You can own your own energy. You can cut the cord with your electric company. That's right. If you own a home in North or South Carolina and you want a fixed electric rate for life with no money down, you need to contact Kevin Brown, kbrown@avolta.us, and the phone number is 704-215-3373. It's a good time to go green. If you're a homeowner in North or South Carolina, call Avolta. Get in contact with Kevin Brown from Avolta. You can own your own energy. We've heard for the last 8 years, energy independence is what America needed. You can have it. Cut the cord with your electric company. Let's go ahead and get into the cat calls. Thanks, Kevin, for your support of the C3 Panthers podcast. The number is 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make
Hey, this is Kevin from Charleston. Let's talk about the draft. Like, I give us a B. And the reason it's not an A is because we drafted a fucking long snapper, which I don't understand. But other than that, I loved it. People were talking about the LSU receiver. I can't remember his name.
Terrace.
I think he's going to be dominant, but watch out for Shy, the South Carolina receiver. I'm telling you, that kid's a beast. Like, he had shit quarterback to play with. Like, you think Teddy Bridgewater sucked? Watch South Carolina quarterback. Their best quarterback threw 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Like, he had nobody to work with. So I think he's going to be a beast coming with us. And I'm still a little worried about our tackles, but, you know, I'm excited. You know, I definitely feel like we need second string backup, though. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Peace.
All right, man. Thanks, man. A lot of heat taken on the long snapper pick. Let's go on to Tyler from Roanoke.
Hey guys, Tyler from Roanoke, Virginia here. So, obviously the draft is over. We went with the left tackle, Brady Christensen from BYU in the third round. Is he going to be that left tackle? I know he played at BYU. The competition, wasn't the greatest this year as far as the rushers he'd see. Is he going to be able to handle, somebody like Brian Burns, somebody that's quick off the edge? I don't know. I guess that's something we have to wait and see. He can definitely move in the guard if need be. So the big question here is, Alejandro Villanueva is still sitting out there. Nope, not anymore. I am doing this phone call, Charles Leno Jr. from the Chicago Bears, their left tackle, they just released him. Is he somebody we may look to for that left tackle position? Because I still see that position as a huge question mark. Cam Irving, Trent Scott, Greg Little. I don't think any of those are the answers there. And I don't know about Brady Christensen. So, what's your thoughts on that? Should we go out and try to get somebody, maybe Russell Okung, for another year? It depends on the money there. Somebody to hold the gap this year, or just go ahead and let's see what Brady can do and see what we got there. Anyway, keep pounding, guys.
What happened with Villanueva? Did he get picked up?
I think he got with the Ravens or something.
Yeah, the Ravens were planning on that. That was a rumor before the draft, and they didn't address it by drafting a tackle. So we kind of knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
The four-man rush crew was really down on Brady Christensen tonight. I felt like the one thing I think it's like funny that now like we're all concerned about the left tackle position. We've always been concerned about the left tackle position. I feel right at home with who we got right now. Yeah. Is that like he said Cam Irvin ain't the answer, man. We had Byron Bell, homie.
Mm-hmm. I'm not as down on Brady Christensen as they are.
Yeah.
But I don't watch film as them, so I do value their opinion.
All right, let's go to the next call.
What's good, Panthers Nation? How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing, C3?
Yo, what's up, man?
It's Tuesday, the week following the NFL draft. I'm looking forward to the show tonight. What's good? This is Slim Jimma calling all the way from San Diego, California.
Right on, man. Appreciate the
I
support.
just wanted to call you guys really quick to just kind of offer my thoughts on the 2021 draft, post-draft and everything. I just want to tell you guys I'm excited as fuck. I'm excited as hell. First of all, I wanted Justin Fields to be drafted at number 1. I was very fucking surprised when we didn't draft him or Slater, who were both there. But you know what? Like now looking back into it, I think that J.C. Horn pick was the pick to make. I think overall the team got better and is in a better position to succeed rather than had we gone with the quarterback and then try to figure everything else out. And maybe that's a little hard to argue against the left tackle. I think the left tackle would have put us in a great position regardless. But, I think overall, these guys did a great job, man. I think that draft is going to be something that we're going to talk about for the next decade or so. We're going to remember this one. And then even last year's draft, I think those guys hit some gems, man. There's still a few players we haven't seen reach their potential yet, like YGM. Like, imagine if those guys from the last draft actually show up next year. Bro, we got to give some credit to Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer, bro. But man, I'm loving where this team is going. I think this team is night and day difference from the previous ownership. We'll go from a conservative ownership that just didn't give a fuck about their players, and now you see fucking Tepper's wife out there at the Hornets game with the new draft class. Like, could you imagine that, bro? Like, this team is completely different, bro. Night and day. From the top up, from the players, from the owner, everything is 9 days different, bro. And I think this Panthers team is gonna bring something, man. I think we're gonna make some noise in the league next year, especially in the NFC South. And I believe in Matt Rhule, dude. Like, I'm a huge Rhule believer, man. And Another thing, I think we also need to start looking at it this way. We evaluate these players that we pick up in free agency, and we say that they're shit players. But I think we need to start looking at things from a post-Matt Rhule perspective. We need to see how these players do in a Matt Rhule system, dude. Because I truly believe coaching matters, and I think Matt Rhule is that dude. I think he can change players. He can have a positive influence on the players' careers. And I know we didn't draft the left tackle until the 3rd round, but bro, I think the guys that we picked up in free agency, they still might have it.
All right, man. We appreciate that call. You guys' thoughts?
The only part I didn't agree with was that Jerry Richardson didn't care about players. He had certain players that he loved very much. D'Angelo, you're welcome. Jonathan Stewart, you're welcome. Sunshine, you're welcome. So he did have some players he cared about.
Yeah.
But as far as, being a new age type owner, I do feel like, David Tepper and his wife are more of those new age owners.
Yeah. The most wealthy one in the NFL too, right? I mean, like, that's the interesting part of it.
I just read that he actually started a new investment group, or he's heading it. You remember how he backed out of Appaloosa a little bit?
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to take, step back from this, and because it takes so much time, I guess, and now he's going to work on the football. I saw him linked to another hedge fund already.
Of course.
Well, when you start getting some of those guys that you want to handle the football stuff, then you can take that seat. Remember, at first it was, we're giving the guys who are here their trial run. I'm gonna do the business side. Then he did the football side. Now he got people he like. He can take a step back again.
Yep. I agree 100%. I think that's what you're seeing now. Is he's got people that he trusts in that position. I think T-Money's right on that 100%. I think that's
right on the money.
Right on the money, bro.
Team money.
He's right on the team money, dude.
All right. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next call? All right.
What's up, guys? This is Slim Jimma again from San Diego. This is part 2 of my call. Like I was just saying, though, Matt Rhule, dude, we need to start looking at things from a post-Matt Rhule era or post-Matt Rhule perspective, man. Because that guy, he might be the difference maker for this team. When coaching really matters, I think we're going to see it in Matt Rhule. I think we're going to see some of these players really blossom a lot sooner, a lot younger than they would have with Ron Rivera for sure. But even the guys who had, like Sam Darnold, man, who had bad stints in their first homes, like I honestly think they can come here and find success. And I think Matt Rhule is going to put those guys in a position for success. So that's why I feel so good about this draft, is because I think they addressed every position that we needed. I know they didn't put a higher priority on left tackle, and I wish they would have, versus gone and go get these wide receivers. But when you look at the team, literally from a position-to-position basis, we are much better than we were yesterday. And I think we are setting ourselves up to be in a position like San Francisco, like the Niners, where they have a solid team, and all you have to do is plug and play a quarterback who's somewhat competent and can make some plays and can push the ball downfield. And I'm 100% on the Sammy D train. But you know what? If Sammy D doesn't work out, I think we're going to be in a position regardless. 2 years down the road, we're going to be like, hey, man, we just need a quarterback. And we're going to be good to go. And I think this team is going to figure it out. I believe in Coach Rhule. I believe in Tep. I believe in Scott Fitterer. Scott Fitterer is that dude. That guy came in, and in my 20+ years of being a fan, I've never seen a draft work the way Scott Fitterer just worked the shit out of the 2021 draft. And I applaud that guy for that, because you walk away from the draft and you're a much better team, bro. Like that's how you want to see the draft played out. No more of like, we only got 6 picks and only 2 of them are going to pan out. You might as well try to get as many picks as you can, see how many of those work out for your favor. And I think these guys are doing a tremendous job, man. I think Panthers fans should be excited. I know we didn't get Justin Fields, man, but watch. If Sammy D tears it up, then what you got to say? We're going to be solid, dude. We're going to be solid. That defense is going to be fucking nasty. That D-line is going to be nasty. J.C. Horn, D-Jack on the sides. We're going to have our safety set. Like, I really, really believe this team is going to be night and day from where they started. Like, bro, where I'm talking playoffs. I'm thinking we can win the NFC South this year, even though The fucking Bucks are coming off the Super Bowl. I think we can still do it. Mark my words. Anyway, man, excited to hear tonight's show. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to your guys' analysis. Looking forward to what you got to say, Cody, and your thoughts about everything.
I think this is that while it does sound crazy to say we could win the NFC South, is really it's the Bucks and everybody else at this point.
Yeah.
Is that the Saints are poised. First of all, is that their time was 2 years ago. You know, like was it 2016? They beat the stomp, you know, like they were stomping us at home, and then they went 2017. Whatever that, like that first time when they lost to Minnesota, that was their time. That was when dang Drew Brees was still good enough to get it done and stuff like that. He's fallen off a cliff. Their defense is good, but it's getting older quick, right? And Cam Jordan's about to get old soon. And I mean,
from Trey Henderson, and
they lose all that.
Marshawn is going to be gone for at least probably 4.
What 4?
You didn't see what happened? You know
what happened? Well, I probably did. I just don't remember.
He's one of the few people to get caught with legal weed in the car. So he was good with that, but then the dummy has a gun in his pants.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
they always carrying a gun, these cats.
So they were gonna slot. The cops were gonna let them go because their weed was legal. He asks, the cop says, well, do any of y'all have any weapons in the car? You know, let me know if there's a weapon in the car. And Marshawn had one in his pants. And the cops was like, you're lucky you didn't blow your stuff off, first of all.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So exactly is that. And then there's going to be a big drop off at quarterback there. Right. It's hard also. And that's a drop off from a quarterback that wasn't even really scaring anybody that much anymore.
And you lost Emmanuel Sanders. You didn't replace him. They didn't draft receiver into the 7th round. You lost Jadarius Jenkins, and with Marshawn being suspended, who you playing at corner? So yeah, I definitely feel like we can hop New Orleans. Now Tampa, that's a little bit more ambitious,
right? And Falcons are coin flip, man. They got some talent. They got opportunity to be good with like Matt Ryan and Julio and Ridley and Pitts. The offense, it's like now they're back to normal.
Yeah, the Falcons are a team that's rebuilding that don't want to admit they rebuilding.
Right.
It's like they keep picking. Well, first of all, they keep picking offensive linemen early. I never think that Atlanta's offense is that bad where they just have to have offensive line. They refuse to take corners high. They refuse to take edge rushers. They just keep taking O-linemen early. I don't know. O-line never looks that bad to me.
I don't know. It was really bad before they took that Elam guy, or who was it that they remember they took that one tackle early.
They traded up. What was that? A couple.
This
years
was
ago,
like 5 years ago. They took that kid. His dad. I think his dad played in the NFL.
Jake
too.
Matthews.
Maybe.
Jake
yes.
Matthews?
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's
that was
it.
a while ago now.
Yeah, that was like a top 3 pick or something like that. Top 5 pick. He was the first left tackle.
Yeah,
so,
but
it's
like
you don't never know what you're gonna get with Atlanta.
because they soft. You know how I go with Atlanta. You punch them in the mouth one time, they ready to lay down. We don't want no more. And that's why they keep losing the same way. Every time they have a lead, they ready to lose.
Yeah. Well, man, God, I feel like we were like that sometimes. The last thought on that call, though, is there was an optimism in that call about this draft. There was an optimism about the plan and the upside. I do think this is that one thing we drafted young dudes. It looked like we left it. Everybody was over 6 foot. Everybody was super athletic, and everybody was young. And our team is like the average age is 24. So I think there could be like we're drafting like athleticism with the hope that we can help them coach them up using those traits. I was a little surprised, guys, by the reaction from the YouTube roundtable tonight. It was not glowing about this draft like I've been hearing across Twitter. I heard Bucky, we got the most players on Bucky Brooks' top 150 board. There was a certain hesitancy among the roundtable tonight to endorse this draft. And obviously that was led by 4-man rush, but Pat Coltrane's got some reservations. Were they being the people that are ultimate defenders of Teddy Bridgewater? Now they're the pessimists.
Well, the 4-man rush guys, I said it when we were having the mock draft. This whole we're taking 3, 4, 5 offensive line, it's not realistic. I said it that night. It was never gonna happen. And they were never gonna be happy if it wasn't happening. And Pat, I mean, Pat's my boy too. I've known Pat a long time.
I love all these dudes.
I think Pat is a little hesitant to get too happy as well. Pat's natural instinct is the question to move. And like I said, the 4-man rush guys, those are my dogs. But if we wasn't taking 3, 4, 5 offensive linemen and offensive linemen that they love, they were not going to be happy.
CK, were you a little surprised by the cautiousness in the draft? I actually, you know what? You're part of the cautiousness.
Yeah, I was. And I'll tell you, mine is so even from the perspective of somebody, even Cody, ever wanted to talk about how we got a B grade, right, in the draft for most everybody. Like, B is actually on the bottom half of the entire league. Like, it's not like we were like in the like most people are actually in an A minus, A plus category or a B plus category. B was not great, but here's the thing. I just don't know enough. Number one, I am not to the level of understanding these draft prospects like Cody or some other people may be that study film, that follow college football or anything like that. I just didn't feel. I felt like we had a goal coming into the draft, and that was to come away with as many players as possible. And they accomplished that goal. And that's obviously good to see that they had a vision and they actually executed it, because it's something that we haven't seen before. The difference here, and the reason that I am frustrated, I'm not going to say frustrated. I'm not like disappointed. I'm not, thinking that we just lost the draft. I just don't know that I can be excited about what we've done just because he made a bunch of trades and he got a bunch of people that may or may not work out, right? It'd be different if he had made a bunch of trades and all of a sudden we had 3 first-round draft picks, right? That's a different scenario. If we were doing what Miami did, where they were able to walk away with a ridiculous haul of draft picks, I mean, that's a completely different account.
Well,
right?
The only way we was doing that is if you was part of the whole
first round
back trade CMC. I mean, that's the only way you was gonna get all. Remember, Miami had let everybody go. Larry Tunsil got traded. They were a receiver. They traded a lot of talent away. I mean, first of all, we don't have that much of a.
We did acquire picks though without having to sacrifice our first round pick. Yeah. And that's kind of like the real easy way to accumulate big time picks is, we were thinking, man, is that we're trading back in the first. We still picked in the first at 8 and added some picks and stuff. So it showed that we didn't just have that one train.
And you were not trading back and getting JC Horn because
I think Denver would have taken him, right?
Yeah, Denver wanted a corner and Dallas definitely wanted a corner. Dallas definitely thought they was getting Surtain, and that's why they traded back once the 2 top corners was gone.
And you know why Pat is cautious right now is the same way I'm cautious. And when you've been doing these watching this as long as we have, this is like there's just so much uncertainty. Well, you know what I mean? Like, is that
guys who ball 1 year but then don't ball over time?
Yeah,
like we was so excited about. I'm trying to think of somebody like Bené Ben-Wilkery.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? He played well. He played well to start. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that if you go back and you look at the redraft from that at the end of the 2015, we did the redraft. Like everybody were like PFF does this. We had like 4 first round talents. Supposedly that year, and then half these guys are gone in a couple of years. The other thing is that we've seen so many locks not work too. So like it's just kind of like it's almost like why a draft grade. The whole draft grade concept is kind of bizarre. Yeah, right. It's like we almost need to grade it at like 2 years later.
Come out the draft how many people do you feel like can contribute, and how soon do you think they can contribute? And I feel like last year, everybody we drafted pretty much got some kind of run, whether it was a lot, whether it was a little. I personally feel like YGM should have got more run, but even, I mean, who was our last pick last year? Stanley Thomas Oliver was getting snaps at corner. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like this year we took 11 people, and even some of the undrafted free agents we signed, I think they're going to get a lot of run. I mean, long snapper wise, I mean, he may be the only one that don't make the team. Maybe him, maybe Phil Hoskins, but I feel like everybody else will be on the team. And I mean, I know how much we love JJ Jansen, but if you get beat out, you get beat out. I don't know how you judge long snapping, but
yeah, I don't know how you pick a baby there. I was surprised that they cared so much.
How many times has Jansen like been down there and made a play on a receiver or something like that? So I think that on a kick returner or whatnot, I think that's a big part of it, is whether or not Jansen can hold up to the athleticism that you're required for a long snapper that maybe having to, you know, cover a kick and whatnot.
And JJ isn't guaranteed, so if you get rid of him, I mean, you saving a little money.
Yeah. All right, next call.
What's going on, C3 Nation? It's your boy Jay Anderson hitting y'all up.
What up, Jay?
Man, I see everybody, you know, their reaction towards the draft, you know, giving their grades out, you know, what they think. Me, you know, just learning for a long time, man. I'm, you know, I ain't got no grades. I ain't gonna say what's a great pickup for this draft and stuff like that. The only thing, you know, I ain't gonna say what's great, you know, what's great, because you really don't know what, you know, what's a great draft until like 2 or 3 years later. I mean, I remember, you know, in 2016, people thought, damn, Vernon Butler was a great pickup.
Yeah.
And this draft was, you know, was great. And the only person who did something was James Bradbury. Hell, I remember when that year they picked up KB. I mean, KB had one good year, but he ain't panned out the rest of his time in Carolina. So, you know, you can't say, you know, what's a great draft until like two or 3 years, you know, 2 or 3 years later. And I understand people just going off based off paper. I understand, but you know, based on paper is your solid look. But you know, me, this is like waiting on 2 or 3 years. And on another note, I'm going through emotions. I ain't really paying attention this season anyway, because damn near you got Sam Darnold as the quarterback. And I know from a fact that once they had traded for him, we was not getting we was not going to go for either Justin Fields or Trey Lance, or you know, those two quarterbacks. So I knew, but we had a chance to get them, and I just 90% I already knew they wasn't going to go on. It's just that 10% I had a lot of hope that they will, but since they traded for him and they got those picks, I was like, you know, yeah, they set on Sam Darnold. I'm just not a believer in Sam Darnold. You know, I think I told you that before. I'm just not a believer. I saw him in college. I didn't see what everybody else was seeing. And I saw him with the Jets, and I didn't see him what everybody else was seeing. But everybody want to blame the coach. I was like, you know, a good player can play through bad coaches, you know, and stuff like that. You know, not may play wonderfully, but they have, you know, you can see something in them. And I just don't see nothing in Sam Darnold. So I think we're going to be looking for a quarterback next year, or probably in 2 years.
Well, I think that's Cody's point from earlier, and mine in the draft show was this. This will be the decided kind of defining storyline for the Panthers draft going forward.
Yeah.
And it's almost out of, as one hand is, will Sam Darnold, the Sam Darnold project, pan out? And panning out just means not being a disaster. And part of this is out of our control, is what's going to happen with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And similar to, you know, the Bears, they screwed up when they picked Trubisky over Mahomes and Lamar Jackson or whoever it was. But you know what Mahomes and Watson. You know what makes it worse though is when Mahomes and Watson go crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing for Trubisky to be bad, okay, you know, that's already bad enough. And then when you look at what you missed and what you got wrong, and they're succeeding and thriving, that's the hard part. And I think that's going to be like the dichotomy of this is going to be we're always going to be comparing. Forget Teddy Bridgewater. He's he's a distant memory already. Yeah. The whole story is now going to be Sam Darnold, and we're going to have looking out the side eye at what Justin Fields' career looks like, and we're not going to make this judgment at the end of the year either.
No. I think it's also they didn't want to. Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer, one didn't want to listen to the Cam crowd. We miss Cam, and Justin Fields is in that Cam grain. He's even when he first was going to go to Georgia, he was Cam Newton 2.0. So I think that has something to do with it. And Matt Rhule said it on the radio right now. Why, if we feel like we have a quarterback that we can believe in, why are we gonna take away a pick that could help the team to take another pick? And people were gonna second guess either way because if you traded for Sam Darnold and then you take Justin Fields, everybody's going, "Why are we trading for Sam Darnold?"
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're not wrong.
It was no gonna make anybody happy kind of situation until Sam Darnold proves it on the field. And it's like last year, people were gonna question the Derek Brown versus Isaiah Simmons decision anyway. The only reason why people stop questioning now is because Isaiah Simmons looked bad for most of
Jeremy Chin.
We drafted Jeremy because I be on my college stuff, but it's not like I was like, oh, Jeremy Chin from wherever he's Southern Illinois is going to be the truth.
4-man rush had that though.
Yeah, knowing them,
they were so mad about that 7th round pick, man. They were like, we could have got this dude. I was like, God, man, I never thought a 7th round pick in my life was gonna die. You know what? That's another thing though is I'm used to a Marty Herney world or a Dave Gettleman world where we draft a 7th round pick and we cut him. Hell, we drafted Harrison Butker 7th round.
That one still hurts.
Oh God, that one hurts. I still get mad. I'm mad at a bunch of. I'm still mad about Cameron Artis-Payne. I'm still mad that they didn't give him a fair shot. But we've cut way too many 4th, 5th rounders.
If people don't want to change, look at the people who want to cut Troy Pride.
Yeah, already. And we ain't even seen nothing on this yet.
Can we develop can we try to develop? At least let them try to, or give it up.
We gotta keep in mind Josh Norman wasn't a polished product, and it took him his 5th year, 4th year in the league to actually be something that was going to be considered an All-Pro. That made us wanted to re-sign him.
It wasn't even.
How are they going to want to give Dante? How are they going to want to protect Dante for their whole life, but they want to cut Troy Pride already?
Yeah, exactly.
They are moments. Yeah, and you know what is that? To be honest, is that you probably asked a lot of him. Here is you know what? He didn't play great. He didn't contribute all that much, but guess what? Is that we've drafted him, and we should. What else are you gonna do? You might as well let him
4th rounder, and for most of the season said, "Hey, guard the 1st or 2nd best receiver on the team." That's asking a lot of a 4th rounder.
It is, and you know what is that? Where 2 is a what have you done for me lately league? Is what do you do? And you know what? They did this to Corn Elder too. Here's a good example. Corn Elder, people shit on Corn Elder so much because he came in and you know what? He was a 5th round pick, 4th round, something like that. He was meant to be a nickel corner from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what they drafted him to be. And he had that knee injury where he had the cracked kneecap or whatever. Missed the whole damn rookie year. His whole rookie year. They bring him in his first game where he returned from that knee injury. They put him out there on David Moore, which is not like David Moore is all that awesome, but it was like Russell Wilson said, "Oh, rookie outside coming back from an injury on an island," and he threw it right. And you know what? He was running step for step with him. He just never turned his head around. And guess what? They took that play, and everybody said Cornell was trash. They said he was trash for whatever
Well,
2 years.
it was like 2 plays like that. He got
Yeah, he got toasted. But Ron Rivera
college
would throw some mugs to the Wolves. He threw Ben Wickery coming off the injury. He said, "Go defend Julio."
Yeah, he broke his leg and said, "Go defend who the best receiver in the league," and they got surprised.
And then they cut. And then you know what? And then after that, he got on the radio and was like, "Who? Ben A was out of shape."
Yeah, he did.
Like, well, no shit. He ain't played.
He's been rehabbing a leg injury, a broken leg. Of course, he's not in football shape.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Hey guys, it's Chuck from Elizabeth City. Oh, I had a lot of time to analyze and look at this draft, and a couple of things I want to look at. I really do believe I'm happy with the Horn pick at number 8. I really think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that if Detroit would have went defense first and Penei Sewell would have been there at 8, that would have been our first pick. I don't have a problem passing over on Fields.
Great.
And evidently we're not the only one. I mean, Philly even traded back up before Fields was, and you thought, okay, he's going to Philly, quarterback, something that they need. So I don't have a problem with that. I do think Phil would have been number 1, and that would have addressed a lot of needs. I don't have a problem with the second most glaring need being a corner. I also like the fact that we didn't just get one. We got Keith Taylor out of Washington, like in the 5th or 6th round. What's a good pick? One of the issues I did have with this draft is Brady Christensen's fine in the 3rd round. I don't have a problem with Marshall picked the receiver in the 2nd. We picked up Shy Smith later in the draft too as a receiver. So I think we've taken 2 receivers by committee that can take place of what Curtis Samuel had. I feel pretty confident in that.
Terrace Marshall better.
I like the Tommy Tremble pick, the fullback who can play tight end, and I think he's going to be a valuable asset, special teams, kind of football player. And then I think we'll fall in love with the guy. I'm just wondering if we couldn't have got him in the 4th round where
that's what the 4-man
we got the running back Hubbard.
You're the only one who didn't love.
Not that that's a bad pick if we
Tremble.
utilize it right.
Really?
I just don't know how much playing time he'll get. But if we wouldn't have taken Tremble with the 3rd round pick, Wyatt Davis, the offensive guard, was sitting right there.
Now
And then even 10 picks later, I've been pounding the table for Ben Cleveland and Quinn Manners. Niners was there. We could have been an elite guard. Now, Deonte Brown might be slow, but he's a big man to move. I really love the fact I think we can win with the guards because we got the guy from Grambling State, David Moore, who can play guard or center. Overall, even taking the long snapper and just some of the picks we got, bringing in a punter to compete with Charlton. The only thing I have is picking the 2nd defensive tackle in the 7th round. There's some free safeties on the board. I would really like to take in Paris Ford or Trill Williams. That's the one position we didn't address, other than quarterback, and they didn't bother me. But I really wish we would have drafted a safety. But all in all, guys, I give this draft an A-, a B+ at worst.
All right, man, that's a good call right there. And the question about Tremble really isn't just about him. It's about where and Wyatt Davis on the back end.
Yeah, Wyatt Davis is the reason. A lot of people around the league love the Tremble pick, said that was our best value pick was to get Tremble. But I do agree with the maybe you could have took a free safety in the 7th round instead of Phil Hoskins. But what everybody forgets is, remember when we signed Justin Burris and how much Matt Rhule raved about Justin Burris? I think he really, really likes Justin Burris to be the free safety.
Yeah.
And Justin Burris showed something. And even when he was talking on WFNZ, I don't know if y'all listen, he was hyping up Justin Burris on there too, along with Sam Franklin as some of those guys that he just liked, is why he didn't address safety.
I'll be interested to see how that backfield works with like how they're going to use Chin in his 2nd year. Are they going to exclusively use him as a safety? I hope they don't try to keep him at linebacker. I just don't know if that's the answer, but who knows? Is that I'd like to see him
He'll
more.
be mostly strong, maybe some big nickel. I don't think we got too many linebackers.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good call by Chuck, man. Chuck, good call, man. Let's go to the next one.
You guys, it's Nick.
Yo, Nick, what's up?
Just getting over the draft, and I have some mixed reviews on it. I mean, first round pick, I understand the need for going for corner. You know, we were in desperate need for corner on the defense. But I thought that our needs at the offensive line were far greater than corner, in my opinion. I would have been much happier with Slater. But I also understand the need for going with Horn. As far as the rest of the draft is concerned, I'm halfway okay with it. I mean, I really think that we should have spent more picks on the O-line. I don't think we needed all the wide receivers we got. I would have been okay with one. I thought two was a little excessive, especially given the fact that we picked up a tight end. I mean, tight end we definitely needed, but at the same time, that O-line was absolutely terrible. I mean, and on top of that, trading back with, I believe it was the Browns, and they picked up the safety or the linebacker there, the one that I know Cody was pretty high on. I'm kind of disappointed in that aspect too. I get the fact that we needed to make up for all the picks we gave up for Sam Darnold, but at the same time, I feel like we missed on a lot of good players that were available. And especially given the fact that we drafted a long snapper in the 6th round. 7th round, I might understand, but 6th, I think that's a little. I think that's a little high, especially given the fact that we could have gotten someone in free agency. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show on draft night, guys. Appreciate it, and keep on it.
All right, man. I appreciate it. All right, let's go to the next call.
Oh snap! What it do? C3, it's your boy Mike. PK Supremely Top.
What up? Greatest hair. He's got better hair than I got. And I got
having
good
a
hair.
fine Tuesday. Shout out to the C3 Panther podcast for having me on for a little while. You're all right. So here's what happened. So I was so ready to co-host with you guys. Then my boss called me and was like, "Hey, can you work today?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I need the extra money." Halfway between zipping my zipper up on my pants, I'm like, "Oh shit. The fucking draft and the fucking C3 podcast. I was supposed to be on that shit. God damn it." But I got to show my face, show my flowing hair, that. Look, Tony, my hair flows like curly fries from Arby's. That shit is banging.
I don't know who goes to Arby's.
So, that was fun though. For the little bit of time I was on, that was fun. Looking forward to it again. Let's see. Don't forget about those tickets, boys. Patriots game. I think it's May 12th. Tickets go on sale because that's when the schedule comes out, I believe. Loving the draft. There wasn't no picks, that made you scratch your head. That had to be the best draft we ever fucking had. I'm fucking loving it, boys. I can't wait.
I love the optimism.
Here's one thing to think about that I'm not sure we talked about. With the extra game that's coming this season, 17 games. Think about all the records that might be broken because it's hard enough to break a record in 16 games, but you give a motherfucker an extra game, then he's got an edge. So
Kind of feels like cheap though.
We might see a lot of records broken this year.
Asterisk by all the records that get broken.
This your boy Mike, aka Supreme Leader, signing off.
That's a well.
Panther
That's
pride till I die.
for great call, man. You great flow, by the way, Mike. Great flow. You know, isn't that what the old hats say about like when they used to only play like what 15, 12 games? Like OJ did that mess.
Yeah.
And how many they play, you know what I'm saying? And now we played 16. That's what the old hat said. Like when you had 1,000-yard rushing season before and you did it in 12 games. I don't know, I forget how many games they played.
Yeah.
But so that is a good point. Another point that I was thinking is where this is just kind of different, like off topic, but if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be a Green Bay, like, should we take the under on wins for Green Bay this year? Like, we should just go bet like $100 on the under, because the number of wins is probably predicated on Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback.
I say take that money and put it on J.C. Horn winning defensive rookie of the year.
Whatever, really?
Because the odds, I think somebody said was like
it's like 1,000 plus 1,000 or something like that.
I think it was 1,400.
Was it? Yeah, it was a lot. I remember it was a lot.
I don't know if they're betting stuff. I just know somebody told me. I guess if you bet $1, you can win $100 with them kind of odds.
Not bad, not bad. All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Cody. Hey, Greg. Hey, CK. This is Chuck from Elizabeth City. Just think it's time that we look back at this draft, and one thing we got to do is we got to get up, take our hands out of our pockets, and give Mr. Scott Fitterer a big round of applause, because he worked that draft. Seeing what Gettleman did in the draft, he had a lot of misses. And Honey, I think, was better than Gettleman, but my God, he has some bonehead moves himself. Fitterer's in a really nice job. Like I said early on the last call, he had a couple of issues I think he could have addressed, answering the offensive line earlier, maybe, drafting a free safety. But overall, man, he grabbed positions, backup running backs, long snappers, fullback, punters, and free agency as far as undrafted free agencies, and 2 receivers, 2 corners, 2 guards, a left tackle, hopefully. But, I mean, really, Fitterer deserves a big round of applause. It's so refreshing to finally have a GM that knows what he's doing and knows how to work magic.
Well, let's just say this is for Scott Fitterer being new to being a GM, right? Is that's not the worst the draft could have gone.
No.
Right? We addressed need. We accumulated picks. We got some high talent players, and we didn't fall for, I guess, bait. I guess is, what I'm saying? Like is that you could say that us passing on Fields, like maybe that was like the easy candy to go after or something like that. And then on top of that, is that his offseason by adding Hassan Reddick, right? Like he's done some things in this offseason too that really helped his team. So if this is him just getting his feet wet at being a GM, that's a good sign. Strong draft, but a decent, a decent. This is a good. I kind of feel like it's the same way with Matt Rhule's first season as a coach. Is that we didn't see any red flags from the coaching perspective, and that's a good sign on your first day on the job. Is that if you want them to get everything right every time, it's a farce. It's a unrealistic view of the world. But if you're not walking around and saying they didn't look over their heads.
Only red flag I would say Rhule had is that, he sort of let Teddy punk him at times, but
don't say that too loud. Half the internet's gonna blow up about how Teddy didn't get enough. I think this is and if it turns out to be the case, I like that the staff at least admitted they got it wrong with Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what everybody said about bringing him back another year because of the money and this and that is that I think that's kind of like I need to prove to you this wasn't a bad idea. Sometimes you just gotta say I screwed up. Like you come home to your girlfriend and you baby say, "Baby, I screwed up," and but trying to make something work is almost worse.
Yeah.
And it's gonna leave a nasty taste in your mouth if you drag out Teddy for another year and he looks the same way.
And that's why there's a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold too, as well, or on the Sam Darnold work. And is this, and I do believe this, is that you know what is that their decision to move on from Cam was one thing. A second decision is to acquire Teddy at what they did. Right, we know this is that the Teddy thing didn't work out because they paid him to leave.
Yeah.
If they mess up again, that's
too fired though. The people.
No, I don't think he's getting fired. But this is where if the Sam Darnold sets us back, it's going to be problematic. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be like, damn, we got it wrong twice.
But then
you just don't want it to set you back. Is that we had the opportunity to get Fields. And you know what? Is if Sam Darnold works out, this is going to be great.
But if he doesn't, you still take somebody next year.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody good though, and you got to be at the right spot though. You know? Yeah. So, all right, next call.
Boys.
Uh-oh.
Girls.
The GM position feels like, oh man, this feels pretty good. Matt Rhule talked about GM Scott Fitterer and said he put on a masterclass during this draft. Last year, COVID or not, Matt Rhule would sit more than 6 feet away from Marty Honey, not because of social distancing, because of the lack of ability that he offered. There was a game plan going into this draft, and boy, was it fun to watch. I mean, we were active all 3 days. You better believe that these boys had a game plan going into this. They were active the whole time. You better believe that they were on the phone all day, all 3 days. And even before the draft setting up deals, I'm not even telling you that they said they were constantly on the phone, the whole team. So to be able to see moves like this, the reason they moved down twice was because they said a lot of these guys that they had on their list were in big clumps lower down the board. So the value we got trading down on day 2, that might have been frustrating not to be able to see players picked earlier. But we're doing more players for what we got, and I'm looking forward to studying this. I'm sure it's already been studied with some of the players that we picked before my call. But man, how fun was that to see what we did? And we filled up the roster with only 4 undrafted free agents. I mean, when's the last time you've seen that from the Panthers organization having a full roster?
I know. You're right. We're usually adding like 20 players.
Way before these boys are even signed a contract. We just signed 4 undrafted free agents. One that we even targeted with more as an offensive tackle. So good. Wow. I mean, these boys want to get it right. They want to get it right early. Scott Fitterer, I can tell, loves football, and he loves this chance at GM. This is your boy, Big B. I just want to say to the chat room, hit that like button.
Thank you, Blake. You know, I was thinking this is that, what, you know, poor Rashad and them on Panther Nation podcast, you know why they were upset about this trading back is because they were doing live shows on day 2 and they just kept getting bumped back and back and back before they had something to talk about. Because I felt like a bad content creator because I wasn't even trying to do day 3, day 2's like, come on, like the draft night's enough. Like there's so much I don't care this much about it. But I was like, my wife and I were doing something. We were having friends over or something. We went out and we stopped in at a place to get some food real quick. Where was it? I know it was at night. It was at night, right? Like, but I was just like, oh, I'm a bad fan because I haven't looked at the draft. And then I was like, oh shit, we still ain't picked. Like, I'm good, baby. I ain't missed shit. All right, next go.
I would try to pose as G. Cavassier, but Tony called my bluff last time I did that, so I'm gonna let that one ride this week. I'm gonna come at you again with something else. But I'm just curious, did you guys watch Brady Christensen's press conference, the introductory press conference? Not only is David Newton creepy, but he kind of also turned the press conference into a foot fetish type deal. Yeah, foot fetish. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was kind of weird. It was more of a parenting session, also, as well as an introductory press conference. It's very, very, very strange. So if you haven't watched that, go back and look at that. They kept asking about his kid, talking about his feet. Very strange. But I don't know how to segue from that into this, so I'm just going to move to the next topic. So last week, this is Blake B again, by the way. I was on the draft show pushing 3.5, 4 hours. And I just want to give a big shout out and kudos to the C3 team, Tony Dunn, Cody, CK, Greg, everybody, for allowing the fans to be able to do that on draft night. I mean, these guys, they don't have to do this. This is their show. But to be able to allow somebody to come on there and actually, you know, they were reserved in letting the fans talk, and to be able to do that shows a real confidence in their fan base. And I can't say thank you enough for letting me do that. I've never done a podcast or a YouTube show before, and that was a really cool thing for me to look back and do. But how cool is that for them to be able to listen to their fans on a different basis than just hearing phone calls? A really cool thing that I'll remember for a long time. But I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. It's really, really neat that you did that, and to be able to be reserved enough to listen to people. Not just me. I mean, what do I know? I'm just an avid Panther fan. But all the people. I mean, anytime that someone started talking, you stop what you were talking about and let them speak. And I notice, you know, the little things about this show is what makes this fan base family. So I just want to say thank you. You know, all jokes aside, you guys are really cool, and you do a lot for the fan base that goes unnoticed. And
Blake B, man, my man, you're part of the fam already, and I think you're highlighting one thing that I've tried. I've said it over every year. I say this a lot of times, so you've probably heard it before. Is that, like, I ain't trying to tell people what to think when it comes to football and this and that. I want us to think of this podcast as us chopping it up in the car on the way to the game, on the way home from the game. Like, we just went to the game together. We just a bunch of boys and girls, ladies, because we know that ladies have great football contributions too. But we in the car, and we just saw the great game. We just experienced the bad game, and we on the way home. We just, you know, because look, is that, and this is actually the one thing I'm trying to, I don't argue as much on the internet anymore, but I feel like a lot of, and maybe I don't like the draft stuff because I feel like it's a lot of got you takes. Like, it's like, oh, you should have done this. I told you I was right. It was you should have done this. And then like 2 years later, somebody's like, oh, I told you I was right. Like this and that. I don't know what to think. I just know this is I'm going to be cheering for this team. I have opinions about the team, whether they're valid or not. You can say, but we just a bunch of, just a bunch of friends on the way to the game, now we're on the way home from the draft. That's it. We're on the way home from the draft, talking about the draft, and Blake B did a great job. Come back anytime, bro. Open invitation to the C3 Panthers podcast. That's what I wanted to be about. And you know what? T-Money's been part of it the whole time. T-Money, man, me and T-Money been doing this from the beginning. How about that?
That's why I be having to, even though he my dog, I be having to put Cody in his place now. You did kind of hand Cody the keys, but I was around way before Cody, dog.
Oh no, you've always been that. You know what? You've had a lot going on over the past couple of years, though. So we got like this, and again, like T Money always. You know what? T Money comes on whenever I need him, anytime, and you know you got an open invitation as well.
Yes, sir.
Period.
Well, I don't be playing when I say you my brother, man.
Thank you, man. No, I mean, we've had so much fun going back. And T Buddy used to make so much fun. He'd be like, Tony, chill out. Chill.
Yeah.
How about this? Is I'm not even the most anxiety ridden person anymore.
True.
Except for that Teddy mess. I was, but you know what? Is even I was like, oh, well, but God, I'm telling you, man, I ain't gonna
y'all think 4-man rush is a pessimist, but Tony used to be the worst. The worst pessimist. Like, Tony, it's not that bad. Like I used to have to talk Tony off the ledge. Like,
I'm trying to do this. It's like I almost want to go back and look at a draft party where I actually was happy.
Yeah.
All right, next call.
Whoa! Carolina in the motherfucking fan was in. And boy, QT0 over here from California, man. I just got to call in and say what's happening. What's up with Pat Coltrane? Even though I remember I forgot the name of this motherfucking podcast in your show earlier. I just had to put you on blast. You know, I fuck with you. What's up with unnecessary bluntness? What's up with PN to the motherfucking Pizzy? You see me? We had a great draft. I gotta say, I don't know if I can give it an A yet. You could borderline call it an A-, but it's for sure a B+. You know, because we just got Sam Darnold for the F. For the F. You feel me? Because some trades just paid for you, boy. You know, because he's on only what is like 4-5 million. Like, come on, there's backup quarterbacks like Taysom Hill and all these lame motherfuckers getting paid more than Sam Darnold right now. And I really think this boy can blossom. You feel me? Like, really though, like think of what did Joe Brady do with the same stature of quarterback that nobody knew in 1 year? And now we have somebody that has been in the University of the New York Jets for at least a couple years, and now he's gonna come blossom into the Carolinas. You know, I just had to call him to talk some shit. But I love y'all.
I don't think you
Carolina shouting out from Cali. Y'all have a good one, y'all.
All right, thanks, QT0. Is that this is how I feel about Sam Darnold? Is I don't think that, like, yeah, you can say that it's not all coaching. It's like maybe we're overblowing the toxic environment, but putting him on a better squad in a better environment with better coaches, he can't get worse.
That's everybody's argument. Is he was already bottom of the league, so where you gonna go?
Yeah, I mean, and so I do believe that this coaching staff, and I've said this for a while too, is that the one thing that I've kind of noticed that they all have a common trait is they seem to be good teachers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that they, and that's a gift. You know, is being a teacher is, you know, it's not always natural for someone to be a presenter or to be a teacher. They say those who can't teach, but teaching itself is not just something that everyone is really great at. And maybe if there is, and I'm just trying to, I don't have any inside information, but maybe that was kind of the knock on some of the Ron Rivera staff along the way is that they were hesitant to give young players responsibility. Yeah. They were hesitant, you know what I mean? And maybe they weren't, maybe that just wasn't their greatest strength, teaching people.
I think the problem with that, with Ron and them was, and our fan base as a whole, is we kept thinking we were contenders far longer than we actually were.
You think so?
I think for a lot of them years after 2015, we thought, okay, we're just one move away. We're just a couple moves away.
2017, we were 11 and 2017. We made the playoffs. Weren't we 11-5 that year or something?
And then right after that, I mean, again, we thought we were going back
and then
again.
Cam got hurt, man. Look, is everything we lived in is like this? Is that this is why all the people that were critical of Cam, they need to suck it. Is we lived and died with Cam. You know what I'm saying?
I think we need to let that shit go because it's not even. It would have honestly had a better shot if Cam looked better in New England.
Say that again.
Like we got to let that go too, though, because Cam didn't look better in New England. I know a lot of our fan base wanted him to. A lot of fan base.
Oh no, you're right. No, is that I'm not saying that he. It was this is the only reason that those seasons that we weren't contenders. It was just whether or not Cam was healthy or not. You know what I mean? Like the year that we went 11-5.
Even in 2017, that wasn't a playoff roster. Cam carried them to. Remember that receiving core?
But then 2018, what happened? Hurt, done. Once he gets the shoulder, done. Right? Like the whole team's over then. 2019, hurt at the beginning. We lived and died with Cam. It was like if Cam was great, the Panthers would be great. If Cam wasn't available, the Panthers certainly won't gonna be good.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, we made the playoffs in 2017, but we weren't Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah,
that receiving core was what Kalen Clay, Tegan.
He dropped that shit in the end zone. Kalen Clay, poor guy. Poor guy. All right, only a couple more calls.
Hey guys, it's Joey. I ain't got nothing to say except for a little parody about Dante Jackson's toes problem. I think I know what he needs to do.
Oh God.
He need to put his toes in the water, ass in the sand, forget about the world and get that ball in his hand. He'll be good today. That's all he needs to do. He'll be fine. But you know.
Is that Jimmy Buffett?
That's just me. Anyway. I'm going to try to do the longest one of these things ever. You know how it's about to go down. Not like Mother Nature in full Karen mode today, but anyway. Wow!
Joey Blind Panther got the best growl in the game other than Ken. Remember Ken, the rapper Ken? The trailer boy, you know what? That's from Greenville, North Carolina. That's my town. And it's not you're right, it's not Jimmy Buffett, it's some other country music band that my wife knows.
Question though, is Dante gonna get hurt more now that we got turf?
Ooh, I mean, by the literal name of the injury, turf toe, yes.
I think for sure, 100%. All right,
I thought this is that again on the crowd. I was a little surprised with some of the pessimism about the draft because everywhere I've looked is like everybody's been glowing about it on the internet. I feel like.
Well,
second
the Panthers
is that,
media has been.
Yeah,
then there was. Look at Akeem Talib was getting hype about a lot of our draft picks. And the guys on the Left Coast show, Draft Network said. I mean, we took a lot of his best high prospects. A lot of people was. Even the hater Pete Prisco was giving us credit on our draft.
Yeah, and he hates everything about Carolina. Maybe now Cam's gone, he can care about us a little bit in a positive light. The other thing that kind of stood out to me was, and hold on, it was just about, Dante Jackson. It's for all these people that defend Teddy, saying, oh, we could give him more time, more weapons, more all this and that. And then they act like Dante Jackson's proven himself. I would say this is Dante Jackson had a very good rookie year, but he's been up and down since, and injuries now is complicating it.
You know why we fell in love with him though? Because his personality is the closest since J-No to being that dog that in your face.
It's demonstrative. Yeah, it's very demonstrative. Exactly. You're right. And you know what is that I hope he does well, but now it's not about his game just going to the next level. That's what it was 2 years ago, was he need to take his physical skill set and then pair it with kind of elite preparation and technique and stuff like that. But then guess what? This is complicated by injury. So now we need all of it to come together this year. Maybe Dante has a breakout year. Maybe he does. And I do believe Dante is the number one corner on the other side of JC Horn.
All
or
year
the other
or
corner.
to start with?
What's that?
All year or to start with?
I think it has to be all year.
Really? You don't think AJ Bouye has an opportunity?
I'm worried about first the PED pop. Once you get a PED pop, that means you're trying to come back from something you can't come back to no more. I'm worried that like he's living off of
The Jalen Ramsey
his name. Yeah, it's like his name with Jacksonville and Houston for a minute, and that we just we know we've heard his name, we've heard it in the Pro Bowl, and we want him to be good. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be bad,
and
but
even then,
right
he wasn't
now,
the man. Jalen Ramsey was.
what's that? Oh, yeah, but he did make a Pro Bowl or something like that.
Yeah, that was the year.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to keep in mind he wasn't guarding the number one wide receivers either and everything. But I mean, I don't
think it was a bad pick. I'm just not ready. Look, I remember that year. God, this is going back. And T Money, you might be able to help me remember these names. I cannot remember these two dudes' names. We got this was might have been like the first year with 2012. We got a safety from Atlanta and we got a corner from San Diego.
Antoine Payson and
yes, you got it.
Who was a safety?
It was, and he, poor guy, would come on the radio.
No, not Godfrey.
It was like, God, it had a kind of like a smooth name, like Sway or Swain or something like it was. God, what was it?
The channel on my
it's like McLeod or McCood. Something.
Thomas
Deku.
Thomas Deku. Yep.
Yeah, Deku. Is that this? Remember I was excited. I was like, oh, we needed some secondary help. We got these, and I've heard these people's names before, and they both sucked.
They played good for like the first 3-4 games, and they just fell off really fast.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried that AJ. That's why I got I need to see it to believe it. That's where I put the AJ Bouye pick in. Thomas Deku.
If I need to go back through my video, but I made a highlight video on the secondary that year too. I just knew they were going to be. I knew they were going to be.
I guess my stance on it is it's pretty much what everybody else is thinking. Is Sam Darnold really that bad, or was it the Jets organization that was making him look bad? Maybe there were some O-line troubles. Maybe he didn't have weapons. How much are we pinning this on Darnold himself, and how much are we pinning this on Jets? I guess we'll see in a little bit. I don't know where my expectations are. I don't know if he can be an elite quarterback, but we'll see. So I guess the question is, was it the Jets making him look bad? Was it his weapons? Was it the team? Or was Darnold just not that good? So that's my question. Thanks.
Let's find out.
All right, man.
That is the biggest thing with all these offseason moves is Sam Darnold has no excuse. Period.
That's the same thing with Cam as well. Just a heads up. Like if Cam wins this over Mac Jones,
Cam has been an MVP though. Cam could I mean, you know what? If Cam doesn't do well this year, that means his career is probably over.
Yeah.
But if Sam Darnold doesn't do this good this year, it means his career is over. He's 24.
He's gonna be a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
He has to work. It's a big gamble, but I think it's a calculated risk. I mean, I think this is that I am not upset with it. And I know that people go, oh, that's your Teddy hate or this and that. Is that I think we're going to put him in a better situation.
I understand that, though, with the giving to Teddy's physical limitations is not going to change. I could give Teddy 20 seconds with no pass rush. And if he tries to throw it 50 yards down the field, the receiver is still going to have to slow down or come back and get the ball.
Yeah.
Like 20 yards. And this is the other thing is that I appreciate the people that study this very carefully. But there's one problem with with stats, and that's where they would give you the top pocket passing time, give you the average time.
Oh, they love that stat, that 2 point, whatever it is,
right.
2.5.
is that the thing about that is that stat itself is kind of ruined by the poll numbers. And it's kind of like, all right, think about this, is that when we think of life expectancy in America and like what's the average like age you're going to live to, we officially don't factor in people that die in year one. Like we take those out because they skew the numbers so much.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like when you get a
Outliers.
0. And so what I think is that sometimes I think the really bad plays bring that down. And it's like when was that pocket shitty? What part of the game was it shitty?
Exactly.
What was going on? These are all other things that can give us insight into that number a little bit.
Facts. You can quote that number all you want, but like I kept saying, we saw games, we saw opportunities where Teddy had enough time to throw it down the field and he just couldn't make the throw.
Yeah.
I mean, he
or chose not to, or just straight chose not to because he knew he couldn't. And one other thing is, I know that they want to shit on this offensive line from last year.
It wasn't as bad as they say it was.
Right. Yes. I agree with that 100. And it was way better than many of the lines that we've trotted out over the past years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that I want to like.
We had no defensive tackles playing offensive linemen, so it's an upgrade from the Nate Chandler line.
That's it. That is it.
Yeah,
all right,
not
I
untrue.
can't believe we actually thought that was serviceable to change a defensive tackle and make him a lineman. Like,
well, we did. The other thing is that you remember when and look, is going back is I know we gave Byron Bell a lot of shit, and it was deserved. But Matt Khalil was worse than Byron Bell. He was He was
Byron
worse
Bell
than me.
remember Byron Bell couldn't pick which hand he wanted to block with. He thought he was gonna be a good left tackle just because he was left.
No, that was what Dave Gettleman told us. They were like left-handed people. He's on the left side and he's left-handed, so it's strong arm. And we were like, oh, that sounds good. And then boy, he sucked.
You sucked at right tackle. He was like, yeah, let's give him a shot at left tackle.
He was a guard, man. Byron Bell was I don't even feel like I hate people like Byron Bell was playing above his skis. Like he was out from his skin. Like he was asked to do something that he shouldn't have been done. Asked to do.
Yeah, Irvin, if we start him at left tackle.
I promise you that I think that's the plan, bro. I think that's the plan.
I think Brady gonna be starting early.
Okay. All right. Last call of the night.
Hey guys, it's Sweet Double J. I just got back from playing cards at a friend's house tonight. Man, I was so happy to see you guys still live tonight. I don't know if I'll get this call on or not, but oh boy, I'm so glad that we didn't pick up Justin Fields.
Oh Lord.
I really like what Rhule said today about, kind of building the whole team. Because truly, if you think about it, if you build a core of a team, then what a better way to witness the Walker Wonder with PJ, the Walker Wonder.
Walker.
Hashtag WTWW. I did it right that time, y'all. Anyway, I'm just saying, I'm actually in. I'm in for Sam Darnold. I'm pretty happy about him, but looking forward to a preseason. I really think that's what we were missing. Hell, I mean, we might even see something out of Will Greer in the preseason. Who knows?
I think so.
But I am looking forward to.
They are hyping him up on these vids, bro.
So,
he be spinning it in them workout vids, though. For real.
It would be if he won the starting job. Like immediately, I think everybody in the Carolinas would say, "Fire Matt Rhule." Immediately, even though he hasn't gotten a fair shake.
Well, people wanted Will Greer cut 2 years ago.
I know. Oh, trust me, I've been talking about
pride
it
too.
time.
Cut him.
We'll have it just be funny who they choose to have patience with and who they choose not to. Like, oh my God,
that's the truth, and that is it's almost it's a collective sentiment about who we choose to have patience with and who's not. That's a good point.
The funny thing about it too is like let's be honest. Like PJ Walker, as much as we wanted to, praise him for his, he had a worse game than Will Greer's first game. It was just that we won. That was it. That was the only difference.
No, he threw some touchdowns in that first game. It was second game.
But he
was
threw
just
3.
But it wasn't even that PJ was playing that good. It's just that it looked different than Teddy Bridgewater because PJ got a deep ball.
Yeah. And so
that made me chub.
It
was so missing. It was so to the point, even I could. It was awful. Teddy Bridgewater can't throw it past the sticks. He just can't.
And it ain't gonna change in year 2. It ain't like Teddy didn't know the playbook. That was supposed to be the whole reason you signed him, because the stuff that people say don't make no sense when it comes to Teddy. Teddy knew the playbook. You can't use that as excuse.
How are they defending him more than the people that picked him?
Exactly.
They're defending him more than Joe Brady, Matt Rhule, who risked everything to go with him, and they paid his ass to go away. And you're trying to tell us we're being too hard on him?
They ate crow. Let's be honest. Yeah. They decided they had to say we made a mistake. And
Tony Wright, they laid it out all on the line. You cut the best quarterback in franchise history for Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
To some people, they deserve to be stoned for that alone.
And look, some people change teams and shit and stuff like that. All right. So that's the C3 Panthers podcast. We got one last segment. We're gonna do our ice up picks. Don't forget, you can call into the show 252-228-5098. Please smash the thumbs up button. Please leave us a rating on wherever you do. These small things happen. I'm looking at some of these, the other growth. We need to grow. We're going to grow together because you're going to jump in the car with us. We're going to the game, coming back to the game. You're part of the family. Call in, you smash the thumbs up button, you be a part of the chat room. Thanks to Demetrius Miller, Swish 94, still up with us at this late time. There's 61 people still watching, and we over 3 hours up in this joint. You guys are fantastic. Follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Look at all these cats on their little IDs right here. Let's go ahead and ice some people up. I will start just to kick it off. I'm icing up, and I'm not going to say who it is, because if I say who it is, big problems could happen for me in my personal life. But I am going to ice up this. And look, I'm not immune from doing this myself at times, but I'm icing up adult temper tantrums. Adult temper tantrums. Look, adults they get frustrated, they get tired, they get frustrated, maybe get cut off in traffic, whatever it is, and you blow your lid, and it's not cool looking though. And I've done it. I've thrown a temper tantrum and pouted and been all pissed and this and that over small stuff. And I'm almost 40 years old. It's not a good look. I witnessed an adult temper tantrum today. It wasn't a good look on the person. I ain't gonna say who it is. But folks, don't be like my kids. It's like, can I get a McFlurry? No. Oh, come on. T-Money's advice, look, it's all his trying to bring me down off the ledge. Look, he's even taught me how to having temper tantrums on this show. T-Money, thank you for that. That's what I'm icing up. So what you guys got?
You got one, T-Money?
I guess probably the Hornets, because everybody, again, Hornets trying to make their playoff push. Everybody's hurt. Gordon Hayward's hurt. Miles Bridges may have COVID.
He always hurt, man.
True. Miles Bridges may have COVID. PJ Washington missing games for personal reasons. Dang, can we get in the playoffs one time? LaMelo back, bro. LaMelo in the playoffs is gonna be fun to see.
He's awesome. Yeah. Can you help me out with something? Because you know all this stuff. Why do they call him Cocaine Monk?
What?
There are people on Twitter that call him like cocaine, I don't know if he plays Scatterbrain Monk or what, Malik Monk. They call him Cocaine Monk on Twitter.
Oh yeah. I mean, Malik Monk was supposed to be like one of those great scorers. He was like a great high school prospect. My homeboy is from Arkansas. He's been talking about Malik Monk before he went to Kentucky. But yeah, he's either gonna score 30 or he's gonna score 6. He's sort of like J.R. Smith or Deion Waiters, and one of them scores that just either they own or they totally off, but they still gonna shoot either way.
I got you. CK, you got an ice up pick for us?
I do. So I'm gonna ice up all the people that decided to sell their Dogecoin when it was like 10 cents because they thought there's no way, and all the people that have made the decision that Dogecoin, there's no way it can go anywhere. It's a meme coin, all this stuff. Right now, it is at a 68 cents. Right?
Oh my God, you better sell.
68 cents. And for those who have not bought in yet, I know it's scary to buy in at this point, and I'm not going to give anybody any type of investment advice, but just kind of keep in mind, Elon Musk is going to be on SNL this Saturday, and anytime Elon Musk does anything with Doge, that shit skyrockets again. And so he's already, he tweeted at 2:00 in the morning the other day, the Doge father will be on SNL. Just how live will SNL really be? And that's all. It didn't even really go into. So I mean, there might be some crazy stuff that he talks about and maybe pushes that up. So just something to kind of keep in mind, guys. But
I'm interested in the Elon Musk relationship and like public finance. You know, he got sanctioned when he was with PayPal originally. PayPal, for kind of tweeting something out. That was basically tampering with the market, right? Or that's what and it was kind of offhand. It wasn't the biggest deal, but are there? I mean, interested to see what kind of regulations there are in relation to cryptocurrencies.
Guess what is one of the most unregulated industries right now?
Right. Yeah,
cryptocurrency. Exactly. So interesting. I mean, they're probably going to take a look and see how these things have impacted, how he's manipulated the market with just a simple tweet from time to time. But he's going to have a defense. Like, he's tweeted before and the market's done nothing, right? So he can't even put that all on him.
And he's just a commentator, man. Yeah. Like, interesting. All right, man. How can they follow your work? Well, where can they get after your gaming and shit?
You can find me on Facebook.g or FB.gg or Facebook Gaming, either way, under Codizzle Allen. And you can obviously find me everywhere else. TikTok. I have a couple of really cool, funny TikToks up. One's really funny about me getting scared to death in a horror game. So if you guys are interested in seeing me jump like a little bitch, go check it out.
All right. T Money 1993. How can they find you? Straight facts, bro. How can they find you?
Well, first of all, that just reminded me to unfollow Russell O'Cool because you're not even on the team anymore. So I'm tired of seeing your Bitcoin tweets.
Wrong.
He said, teach your kids about Bitcoin. That's what he said the other day.
Yeah, you're not on the team anymore. I don't need to see those. But you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube, Mr. T Money 1993. You can find me on Facebook, Mr. T Money 1993 Gaming. I've been doing a lot of NCAA football, playing the old NCAA 14. So you can find me on there. Twitter, Mr. T Money 1993. Everybody know I'm always around. I might not have blew up because I'm a bad procrastinator. I disappear, however you want to say it. I don't be consistent. We'll say that. But I'm always down to talk Panther football.
All right, man. We appreciate you coming on tonight, man. My man, we've been doing this since 2013. You and I have been doing this together since 2013. You might be inconsistent, but you've been consistent with the C3 Panthers podcast. I appreciate every time you come on, your takes, your insight, man, and your time tonight. My name's Tony Dunn. They call me the Professor. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Look, just be a part of the show. That's it. And we'll be back next Tuesday, and hopefully we'll start doing some. Maybe we get these 4-man rush guys to give us some damn video breakdowns of all this mess they be seeing. That's what I want to see. Is like, why does this guy suck so much? We need to see it. But
you might as well partner them up with Cody and let them do film breakdowns.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get them together, and then I'm gonna walk away and go have a beer. All right, man. We'll see you guys next Tuesday night, man.
Keep pounding.